Where's your beef? Why do you have such a problem with me?
Can we get the real Andy? I would prefer the real Andy.
Oh, let's get the real Max. I'll take off my mask when you take off your mask, brother.
Because who's your new favorite YouTuber, Ian, that wanted to be on the show with us?
The Madman. The Madman.
Mad Movie Man.
Let's bring on Max Movies because he scares the living shit out of me. Hold on.
Oh, wow.
Mad Max says, I think you should apologize. Right? I'm sitting here in a goddamn torn down pool house.
I don't even know who
the
you
pool house
are.
is torn apart. Okay, it's torn apart because I'm remodeling on my $70 webcam. Okay, I'm no better than you.
Movie Madness Entertainment.
Welcome, everyone. Wait, let's get this off the screen. Welcome, everyone, to Movie Madness Entertainment Live. Not hosted by Max, but by me, RJ. I'm in charge of the show tonight. Me. This is a special live stream that I planned out. This is technically an episode of MME Live. Max is not here. He's out of town until tomorrow. So I figured, you know what? We might as well still have a stream today. And I figured let me host a stream tonight, both on my channel and on Max's. Let's have some fun and let's talk about a topic that's very business-centric today, folks. It's really one main topic, but this is a very business-centric topic, talking about the recent events going on with Warner Brothers Discovery, Toby, Emmerich, David Zaslav, all the new stuff that's been coming out the last couple of days, the cancellation of Raised by Wolves, and what this may actually signal going forward. So, I was the one who made this beautiful thumbnail, which I think is very apt.
It's very interesting.
I'm just saying, this thumbnail, I think, speaks of some volume. I think there's some truth to this thumbnail a little bit. But we'll get into that. So before we get started, we'll say hello to a couple people in the chat. Let's see, Donovan's here. Galiot. Yeah, I might send you a link later, Galiot. We'll see. Keely Chow is here. Dart Scipio's here. Patrick's here. Anthony Beltry's here. Wallace is here. Safish, I apologize if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Just let me know how to pronounce that if you can. Chubby Teddy's here. What's up, Chubby Teddy? Just George is here. Well, Donovan, he's on time this time because he's not hosting it. I am. So that probably explains why we went on time for once. Darkness Under the Wind is here. Hello. Dabboy22 is here. Ashley's here. Ashley, if you want, you're more than welcome to pop on. Shittygism is here, saying #renew Raised by Wolves. Antonio is here. And yeah. So I have not watched The Boys season 3 yet, that boy, but I have heard good things about it.
The beginning of the beginning. Yeah, this is a great 3 episodes.
The beginning of it is legit Tony Gilroy and Zack Snyder.
Really? Okay. That's interesting.
And Thanos' joke with Edmund in the butt thing. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I like that reference. That was fucking nasty. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Disgusting.
It was a weird.
It was weird. And the boys, so they push it to the limit, which is good.
Right.
But like, it's amazing. Check it out, you guys.
Absolutely. So again, this is going to be a very business-heavy discussion. We're really going to be diving into what I kind of see as a lot of the business aspects of this Warner Brothers Discovery merger, what we're kind of noticing is going on a little bit. And this all kind of got spurred a little bit by the cancellation of Raised by Wolves, which happened today. Raised by Wolves was canceled. It is not being renewed for a 3rd season. And that's kind of taken a lot of people by surprise, including myself, because as far as I was aware, the show was doing decent for the streamer. I don't know why exactly the show would be canceled, but there's been some tweets that have been circulating. One of them came from Louis Fernando, kind of like, and this is kind of a tweet that kind of sparked a lot of conversation, saying, "Here lies another victim of David Zaslov's mighty acts in order to bring costs down at Warner Brothers Discovery, as HBO Max's first original hit series, Raised by Wolves, will be canceled after 2 seasons. Unfortunately, it may not be the last victim. The following months will be bloody." And this is kind of the issue that I'm seeing. And I'll be honest, the cancellation of the show has made me kind of question some things. And that is David Zaslav just too cheap in his mindset as a businessman to fully succeed at his
So
job?
cheap pack.
I think he may be a little worse than Cheap Peck in some regards. Cheap Peck was cheap in regards to being cheap at the theme parks, right? He's a theme park guy that's kind of been taking over this larger Disney empire. And he's not very well liked by creatives or people within the company.
It's more
David
so
Zaslav, I think, the reason I taught the stream the way I did is that I think he may be the Mr. Krabs of Hollywood.
Well, not only that,
He is so cheap. I think he is so profit hungry. I think that there's some things that are being lost in the wayside, and I don't see any of this as good news for creatives going forward.
I mean, looking at it, like, I know this name is not name, but like Matt said it best, like before the whole like actual merger became official, is that look at the content he's produced for Discovery, and look at that, and as said in, I can't remember if it's in Puck or Angler, but they said that like he doesn't that Zaslav doesn't understand theatrical. So that's why he's...
Well, the interesting with Zazoff, based on what we know, and there's another tweet here I'll be looking at, I'm trying to find it, Casey Walsh's tweet, which people, contrary to popular belief, I am not friends or close associates with Casey Walsh. I don't know Casey that well on a personal level. He follows me on Twitter. I follow him back. We interact every once in a while, but we are not close friends. I'm not in his pocket. Casey doesn't pay me. I don't get paid by Casey. I don't pay Casey at all. Like I as far as I'm aware, Casey doesn't even work at Geeks Worldwide anymore. He's really not a full-time scooper. I mean, really. So again, you can think of what you want with him, but again, I'm not very much associated with him. So, but he did say this. He's like, I keep telling people this dude is not the man you think he is, right? And again, people have their thoughts on Casey. I'm doing what Max would do, and I'm showcasing all of it, right? So think of that what you will. But again, it does bring up the interesting conversation about what does David Zaslav ultimately mean going forward, and what is he going to do, right? I think the mindset of David Zaslav right now is reduce costs, bring in money, right? I mean, this is coming around because of a merger. You spend a lot of money trying to get stuff done. But at what cost is the question I feel like we have to ask ourselves here, right? So I will let you guys, I'll ask you guys this. You optimistic with what Zaslav is doing, or do you have some concerns? Caden, I'll start with you.
I'm in the middle, where, I mean, I have some optimism about this, but I also have some concern about, like, how, like, things will look based off of if he's going to, the way things like are looking, but at the same time, I'm optimistic in the fact that maybe we'll get more DC content, more animated content, more content in those areas, but I'm concerned with the quality, like right now, it seems like he's more quantity than quality right now, and he's also he's like, I don't want to spend all this money, but let's also, the show business, not show friends, and we're also going to be talent friendly. So it's going to be very interesting how he handles all three of those things under, with DeLuca, with Emmerich, and with Pam, with who else they get under with DC, whoever they get for animation, like that stuff. Like, it's going to be very interesting to see how they all work together on theatrical and streaming wise. I'm more concerned about theatrical, especially because we've known Warner Brothers to be talent friendly, but also giving us like some of the greatest movies in like Hollywood history. So I hope that at least one. I hope both of those titles stay with Warner Brothers, giving us like some of the greatest movies and also having the greatest relationships with talent. So, I mean, I hope for the best. And yeah, I think I think Anthony Cheeseman says the best. I feel like you need a middle ground. You don't want someone who spends money like it's nothing, but you also don't want someone who spends too little. But you want someone in the middle ground.
Right.
Like,
there needs to be a middle. There needs to be something in the middle where it's not an extreme on both ends.
Yeah,
right.
It needs to understand that where the money needs to go. So you like a Superman, Batman movies. Those, of course, you will be on the higher end of 150. While and Green Lantern and Wonder Woman, Aquaman, those would be higher end of 150. But if you have like a Nightwing or a Batgirl or a like those type of movies, you'll be on the lower end. But still,
Anthony, what do you think about all this?
I'm in the middle. I like what he's doing so far. Like Toby stepping down, we saw that last year when he was looking for chopping around. Zaslav, I did not like the news of him cutting off Raised by Wolves. I was like, bro, I get the show. It was expensive for HBO, and then you say that programs, damn, the correct word, has to be under 35 to 40 million. So I understand that, but like, I'm in the middle. I hope the best for DC going forward and stuff like that. If I know he wants to save the big money for the high like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, whoever's gonna be Batman for DCU, not Michael Keaton, and stuff like that. We know we have a future with Batman 2 and stuff like that, and they're building up to event sort of a crisis event. So like I'm mad, stuff like that, and I mean, is he cheap? I mean, yeah, sort of, but at the same time, like you want to save money to like give those big superhero with a big bump. It's like, so I'm not mad. I want Warner Brothers to succeed. I want like the old Warner Brothers that care about people, that care about talent and stuff like that. And him making Todd Phillip as a visor got me okay. I don't like the idea as him being a visor because he made Joker, which is a great movie, a 10 out of 10 movie, a masterpiece, and stuff like that. I don't like the idea that him being a visor, him giving him ideas of what the DC universe should be. I don't like that going forward. But other than that, I'm fine with Zaslav. I hope him the best. I mean, I hope he spend good money, wise, and stuff like that, and not on the J.J. Abrams stuff. So yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
sorry.
real quick before we jump to you, Gailey, I want to hear Eddie's thoughts real quick, and I do need just a comment in the chat, actually. But Eddie, go ahead. What do you think about all this, man? Like, what are your thoughts about what you're reading, and how are you feeling about Zaslav's comments and his business strategy overall?
No, when I seen it, I was like, damn, he really is cheap. I mean, I said it before. I don't think this merger is going the way anyone thinks, but even I didn't think this was to be a possibility. But no, it's kind of strange because I definitely don't know what his plan is. But he is, I'm not gonna lie, he is kind of an ideal classic businessman in terms of money comes first and everything else comes second. But it's like, I don't know, you have to spend money to make money, but it's like he's been restricting anything. I mean, I thought people thought HBO Max was gonna be a big thing, but like if you're eliminating the budget, it's like, damn, we can't have these big blockbusters on HBO Max, like how Netflix makes those original movies. We can't do that. Disney hasn't done it either, but it's like I thought HBO Max will have more freedom to make those type of movies. But if you want your budget under 35 to 40 million, it's like, damn. So yeah, the future of the DCU on HBO Max, I mean, we're definitely not gonna get original movies there anymore. If he canceled Wonder Twins just for having like a 75 million budget, imagine the rest of the stuff he's probably gonna cancel. But no, Raised by Wolves, I was surprised. I was like, I thought it was doing good. There's a solid fan base, but I guess he just thought it wasn't worth the money and effort to keep continuing that franchise. But it's like, I don't know. I'm very confused about his business practices. But it's like, I think I don't know. It's weird because even though the main topic of this also talks about DC is like, what about the other stuff? Because he was reportedly gonna help boost up the Wizarding World franchise with like
He's
TV shows.
rebooted it.
Yeah. So
with
we
TV
are gonna
shows
look
on-
at a Puck
They say they
news
rebooted
article
it,
in a
right?
little bit. So we'll be examining that. Real quick though, I have to address this since I again apologies if I mispronounced your name. Satish saying I started to guess I made also I thought RJ was a very reasonable man, but him jumping to conclusions without knowing what is really happening has made me really disappointed. RJ is acting like Syl and Mikey, whom he criticizes. I would have to disagree with that analysis, sir. I'm not rushing to conclusions. I'm simply asking a question, and we are having a live panel discussion to seek an answer to that potential question. But at the end of the day, we are just having a discussion based on the information that is available to us. We're not making any conclusions. We're asking questions. So that is quite the antithesis of actually saying that I'm rushing to a conclusion. So I don't think that comparison is very apt, sir. But again, you are here watching. You can feel however you feel. I still welcome that. You are welcome to challenge me and what I say. But let us not try and equate myself to other people whom I did not even bring up in this conversation whatsoever, please. Thank you.
Who has the last spot now, right?
And also, too, if you feel you made a mistake subscribing to this channel because you don't like what I'm saying, then, I mean, that's on you. However, this is not my channel. This is Max's, and I would ask that if you take issue with what I say, do not take it out on Max because, again, I am only here having a panel discussion. And again, if you disagree with what I'm saying, that's perfectly fine, but don't take that out on Max and his channel. Okay, thank you. Galiot, you asked for a link, so I assume you have something you want to say, man. So what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to drop in for the show here, and I always love talking to you guys. How's my mic doing here? Because I usually have like a bad mic.
No, you sound good. Sound good.
All right. So I have been having mixed relationships with this whole new Zaslav regime here because on the one hand, he's trying to say, "Oh, we're gonna be studio director friendly," but we're at the same time want to be the Disney-fied version of Warner Brothers. But to me, that feels like two contradictions of the same thing. I just feel like I'm getting like mixed messages from like David Zaslav, and I'm sure he's going to run a pretty good studio, but I feel like it's not going to be the same Warner Bros. As it was.
Well, on that note, there have been some articles saying that this is why people like Luca and maybe hand-holding Zaslav a little bit through this process.
Actually, I actually think it's going to be more Toby Emmerich, if I'm being honest, because again, what KC said yesterday, and I can kind of confirm this, that
you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Casey's not very well liked around these waters.
Well, like, hey, whatever. But I will say, like, I do very much agree with him that I do think Luca is going to have a big issue. He's going to have a big play in it, but I also think Toby Emmerich as well. Who look at? I know he's like not going to be the head of the studio.
I don't think so.
I feel like he kind of wanted to get out of that position after like all the pain in the ass it was for the last couple of years. So,
well, it seemed like the biggest reason why he chose to walk away is because he would lose control over animation in DC, which he found is not negotiable.
I don't believe that. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess over there, but I still think the thing's going to work out pretty well in the future. But I'm just, we got to see like what the hell like green lights and like. Now it's just we're gonna see like it's sort of like the Disney Fox merger. We're gonna see a lot of like blood like axes, heads rolling. We're gonna see a lot of shows getting canceled that we like, and it's gonna be a little rough for the next couple months. But I think by September we'll have a better vision of what it's gonna look like because again, like these things sort of like have a quick turnaround, and we'll see how it goes there. And once they start announcing the stuff,
no DC fandom.
I'm not even sure there's going to be a DC.
I don't think there'll be DC fandom this year based off
cheap ass. He's a cheap ass. Oh my god.
I honestly. Yeah. Hey, listen. If they announce a DC fandom, that'd be great. But I honestly feel like they may take the year off.
Like,
I mean, if you announce a DC fandom now.
Yeah, but it's like June. It's like halfway through 2022 already.
Yeah, we're already halfway through the year. So yeah, it's like when would it happen too? Would it happen after Black Adam? Before Black Adam in October?
Right. And also, you'd be announcing a DC fandom. You'll be announcing a DC fandom without the DC executive head.
Yeah. Well, actually,
that's the thing. They need to be more concerned about figuring out who's running DC films, who's running this
DC fandom is the future DC in the next year and a half.
Because
so,
if they're smart, if they're
yeah.
smart, what I would do is I would hire the new head of DC Films, give them a couple months to plan things out. Then at
Yeah.
that point, announce a DC fandom with that person kind of being like the Kevin Feige coming out and being like presenting
Or
like what they're doing.
Bring Bob Iger. He's your Kevin Feige.
No, dude, Bob
No,
Iger's
Bob
not going to
Iger
run
does not want to
DC.
do that. No,
No,
that
that's-
position's beneath him.
He's talking to Bob Iger.
Maybe Alan Horn, but I don't think Alan
Well,
Horn's
I
gonna like
respect
be that
Alan
big of a
Horn is
deal with,
retiring
like,
in the next couple of
Alan
years.
Horn's like an 80-year-old man. He can
No,
consult
but
on stuff, which is
he
what
could
he's doing, but
consult.
he's
He
not.
could-
He's
yeah.
not running DC Films.
He's
all
not
that
running
money he
anything right
made.
now. He's gonna be retired, you know.
All that money.
Yeah,
all that money.
but since we're on that topic, we will bring up this Puck news article, which has got a lot of people talking. I signed up for a Puck free trial just to share this article with you guys because I figured instead of like reading the speculate like what other people's analysis article, let's actually read what this actual article says. That kind of goes in and explaining how Warner Brothers is trying to go all in on Disney, saying David Zaslav would like nothing more than to replicate the Marvel miracle, to mine the archives for new franchises and compete with Pixar in animation. But DC isn't Marvel, and new W film chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy will need more than just Igerian ambition to compete. And that is a very interesting note because when we look at what David Zaslav's strategy is right now, he very much wants to emulate Disney in every aspect of this new corporation. He wants the corporate structure to be just like Disney in terms of verticals that all report to him. He wants DC to be run like Marvel, and I think he wants DC to operate at the same business level as Marvel in terms of box office success and branding. I think he very much wants to emulate Disney. I think at this point, what I take away from all of this far is that David Zaslav wants to be the next Bob Iger. That is what he wants to be. He wants to
That's
be
actually
Bob
a pretty
Iger.
accurate take on the whole matter. And I mean,
Yeah.
again, and also I'll tell you this much. Jeff Johns and John Berg wanted to be like Marvel, and look how that turned out. I mean,
Well, they
again,
wanted to be. Well, the difference with Jeff Johns and John Berg, though, is that they wanted to be Marvel with the corporate structure that was just nothing like Disney, to where it could never work out that way because
Okay, fair
there's so
enough.
many
I think it's actually
middlemen.
fair comparison.
Right,
That
the
went
corporate
to a
structure
shit
just
show.
did not allow for that kind of scenario to be built. For there
And
to
it
be
went
a
into a
DC
shit show.
vertical, a DC Studios.
I mean, yeah, and also like scrolling down to like the first paragraph, especially how like they're like family animation TBD and DC superhero stuff very TBD.
Yeah. So yes, this is from Matthew Baloney. I guess I say
Yeah, Matthew
Baloney. He's actually
So-
a really good analyst, by the way. He's
He
pretty
got some
fantastic. I
haters
actually
online.
watched his podcast, The Town. He's actually delved into a lot of cool stuff. There actually this like podcast on Marvel, actually, which I've actually found pretty interesting. Actually, he was, I'll tell you about that later. But we'll
Yeah,
get into
so
the
what's up, Brea? Hope you're doing well. So let's read this real quick. So Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav wants Warner Brothers to become Disney, and he thinks incoming film chiefs Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy can do for the Warners and New Line labels what Sean Bailey has done for the live-action Disney unit. That seems to be the takeaway from yesterday's long-predicted exit of Warner's head Toby Emmerich for a producing deal, and the announcement, also long telegraphed, that Warner's will be split into separate silos. Live-action films from Warner Brothers and New Line, which will be headed up by DeLuca and Abdy, taking over from Emmerich, as we now all know. Family animation, to be dated, and DC superhero stuff, very to be dated. So, all with leaders reporting Zaslav himself. So, as Cade noted, it looks like in terms of getting someone to head up the DC vertical, this is going to be a very long process that's going to take a while to find a replacement. Am I right with that assumption?
Yeah, I think also because it's later, it's on and on in this article, but like, and it seems like DC as a company is like movie wise is a mess, and no one wants to go in and clean it up. Type of thing, like no one from the outside.
Yeah,
it's because
No
they
one
don't
from-
got good people running
one
it.
of the assumptions that we're hearing kind of around the grapevine is that DC is such a mess that nobody really wants to inherit it. This is kind of what we heard in regards to Lucasfilm a little bit, where all the rumblings about Kathleen Kennedy being let go or someone looking to replace her. The ultimate fact of the matter was there was no one else who wanted the job, because it was just such a mess that they would rather just have Kathleen Kennedy stay in power and just work through it versus bringing someone else in to inherit it. Nobody wants to inherit a mess to clean up. I mean, that was kind of the problem with Walter Hamada too,
sure,
because he inherited a mess left behind by Jeff Johns and John Berg that he spent the last 4 or 5 years trying to clean
4 to 5
up.
years, you know.
Yeah.
And it continues.
He's had a rough patch.
Yeah. It's
I
saying.
mean, he's doing his TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. A few would argue with imitating a company that in a few short years. Yeah, like the thing is, like Zaslav, I think he's expecting to be like Disney in the next by 2025. But it's going to take time for him to get there.
It's going to take a long time to restructure the company in that way. I don't anticipate it happening. Honestly, I'm not anticipating at least the end of the 2020s. Like we're talking 2026, 2027 and beyond.
And early 30s, yeah.
Because honestly, a lot of the stuff that you're seeing from David Zaslav's new regime and what his philosophy is, you will not see the ramifications of that until 2024, 2025 at the earliest.
Yeah.
We're talking at least 3 years from now.
Actually, not even that. It's just 2 years from now, actually. It's 2022.
I mean, I would say 2024, but I think more generous would be 2025, just based on what we understand about the way things are operating.
Okay, so right now we have the new DeLuca and Abdy for Warner Bros. New line. And then you see Family Management to be determined. Okay, yeah, like that. I think Family Management should be 2024, New line and WB, late 2024, early 2025. DC, very late 2025. That's where I think. You know.
So just to continue, it says few would argue that imitating a company that in a few short years morphed from the home of pricey write-offs like Prince of Persia and John Carter into a risk-averse hit factory that released $7 billion grosses in 2019, on the way to a record $13 billion in global box office. As I reported a couple weeks ago, Zaslav even has Alan Horn, the overseer of that Disney film strategy, in line to consult on the Warner's makeover, and Zaz has been seen lately in deep conversations at the Polo Lounge with Mr. Musketeer himself, former CEO Bob Iger. So basically, what's being reported is that he is consulting with Alan Horn, asking, okay, what do we need to do structure-wise? What do we need to do from a business perspective to operate in the way you guys did during your successful tenure? But he also is having casual conversations with Bob Iger. Now, obviously, they're not going to be working at Warner Brothers Discovery, but he is trying to learn what he can from them. In terms
he's getting notes from them.
He's getting some notes. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. He's taking some notes, being like, okay, how can I implement certain things to try and get this stuff done?
That's actually pretty interesting. I mean, again, I probably shouldn't say what I'm about to say for that part, but I will say I think it is really telling that Bob Iger very much is trying to help David Zaslav, give him some advice, because again, I know people might not like it, but Bob Iger is actually kind of that pretty good of a person. I met him once, he seemed pretty nice from when I talked to him, but he was,
it's also interesting from the perspective that he is giving advice to the competition. I mean, yes, he is kind of gone from the Disney.
Well, he's out of Disney. Yeah,
he is, but I don't think he's. I think he's going to come back to Disney sooner rather than later because I don't see Bob Chapek staying much longer. I give him another year and a half to 2 years at most. I don't think he's staying for much longer.
Yeah, how much would it cost to bring Bob Iger to Warner Brothers?
I don't really see that either because he's got David Zaslav.
I mean, it's all about the money, right?
But the thing is, Bob Iger would be a CEO position. David Zaslav is that position right now. It's where would he go?
I mean,
and plus, Bob Iger actually kind of has more ambitious stuff. He kind of wants to run for president also. So
ain't happening. I'm sorry, that's not happening.
Yeah, okay. Hey, you might think it, but
he's definitely getting 0 votes.
I think he's out of the entertainment business by this point.
Yeah,
I mean, he made Disney a king. He dominated for a decade.
Yeah, but
there's the other thing too. Degrassi just mentioned Bob Iger does have an interest in politics. Yeah, he has been trying. I think he does want to try and run for president one day.
He will get 0 votes.
He thought because I think
he's not getting no 0 votes, dude. People.
No.
Oh, just say you voted for him?
I'm not saying I'd vote for him. I'm just saying people would vote for him.
Confirm it. Are you voting for him?
I don't know his policies as a politician.
Yeah,
I can't say if I want to vote for him.
Policies, Anthony. That's a shoot in the dark. But all I'm saying is he's ready to leave the entertainment business and he's ready to move on to more bigger things than showbiz. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, even if Bob Iger tell Chapek, Jesus, Zaslav, hey, this is what we did with Disney. Here's the notes, and this is how you can make your company better. I like the idea. It's not bad.
Yeah,
By all
no, but
means.
that's not like helping him like run Warner Brothers. Just giving him some like crash course advice. That's not like anything that huge, you know.
Oh, for sure. It's just
Yeah.
advice. Like, yeah, we this is why I did to you. You
But
could try to do this and stuff.
As moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, because I was gonna start reading the next part.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But as any moviegoer can tell you, Disney is very different than Warner Brothers, and it's not just that Disney is a brand unto itself. A fact Warner's used to highlight, not run away from. The success of the Disney silo strategy was dependent on a few very different and arguably unreplicable building blocks. I'm not saying the strategy wouldn't work for Warner's, but I'm just saying that you can hire the same architects and even draw the same schematics. But if the core materials aren't there, the whole thing collapses under the weight of good intentions. Consider the evidence. Number one, so this is diving into DC and the comparison to Marvel. Number one, the Marvel miracle. This one's obvious. Disney has Marvel. DZ has decreed DC, or sorry, David Zaslav has decreed DC is Marvel, so it is. One producer texted me, it's kind of laughable. Sure, Marvel wasn't always Marvel, and until this unprecedented 15-year run, the DC characters were actually considered more commercial than the Marvel library. Marvel president Kevin Feige, with dozens of profitable movies in a row and an always-on assembly line in theaters and on streaming, isn't exactly clonable, and we know this because Warner has tried already at DC. Remember when Jeff Johns was designated the Feige of DC?
Who?
Yeah. Zazoff could make another run at a Feige, who I'm told talked pretty seriously at Warner's a few years ago when he was aiming to escape the oversight of Marvel's then Madman CEO Ike Perlmutter. So this is an interesting drop by him. So the report is that at one point DC was in talks to bring in Kevin Feige when there was some strife at the company.
I think that would have been really bad for his career.
Listen, think about that. Like
It would have been
$1
insane had he
billion
made the jump. It would have been insane.
Yeah, I think it would have been a mistake. You want to know why?
I don't think that Feige can
I
work
don't
in that
know.
corporate structure.
Because of like all the drama with Zack Snyder at the time and just everything. I think it
He
just
will
would've-
fix it.
I think
He
Zack
will
would have just
fix
like taken him down with him. You know.
No. He will fix it. What Kevin Feige is good
I'm
at
not
is
sure about
to work
that.
with talent, and he will. If even if Zach have beef with the companies, like Zach, come here, talk to me. What do you need? They're saying something. Yes. Just talk to me. What do you need? If the Justice League thing, if Kevin was there, he would have given Zach a break. He's like, you could take whatever break you want. Period.
That is true. Jeff Johns was straight out of Hollywood. He started with Feige in the Donner's offices. Yeah, he did.
And one was a failure, another one became a god.
Right. I mean that's a whole other conversation about Jeff Johns and the kind of behind the scenes turmoil with that. We won't
That was crazy.
but-
The John Berg and him was
Yeah.
that was
Right.
terrible.
So again, it's interesting to note because basically what is being said here is that even if David Zaslav wants DC to be Marvel, it's not exactly easy to be like that because Marvel is so assembly line. They are so well. They do so well what they do, of course. So it says
They got 10 years planned out.
Iger and Horn end up siding with Feige smartly. That's when they split off Marvel Studios from Marvel Entertainment. Iger and Alan Horn sided with Feige. The rest is history. But imagine if that didn't happen. It's crazy to think about. And Warner's has, in the past, reached out to Louis D'Esposito and other key Feige deputies with no luck. So Warner's has tried recruiting Louis D'Esposito to head up DC Films in the past.
Yeah, she's smart.
Yeah.
She's smart. That would have been crazy.
The woman is Victoria Alonso. I guarantee
the reason why that is,
guarantee you,
if I may,
real quick, I
if I may
guarantee
speak
you,
here.
Warner. Real quick, I want to say, I guarantee you, Warner's has also reached out to Victoria Alonso.
I mean, they said other key Feige deputies, so I would not be surprised.
But I mean, to think about it, they're doing good with Kevin Feige. So,
I mean, the
if
reason why they're
there's-
doing good with Feige is because the team he has as well.
yeah, he has a big
That's it,
team
like,
that follow him, and there's a
That's
there's a
the thing
beast
that
to boot.
they won't be able to replicate is the team that he has.
And if I may speak here, and the other thing that I think people also don't realize is that people that I've heard at Marvel is that they are very loyal to Feige. Like everybody there, even when, and there's actually another piece in the Puck that was released a couple of months ago saying like even like when they have a bad production, like all the people involved say, "Oh my god, I love working with Kevin Feige. Like he is such a fucking creative talent. He's able to like help people. Like he's able to get through some of the toughest productions." swiftly. And there's like and trust me, there's been a lot of stories behind Marvel that like are hidden from the public. Like again, like Thor Ragnarok was a mess until like those reshoots happened and stuff like that. And that was all thanks to Feige and Taika Waititi kind of like working together to make sure the movie worked as well as it did. So like again, all of the people working with Feige right now are very much going to be in Camp Feige. Like there's not going to be like a lot of people, maybe like some concept artists, but that's about it. Like again,
Well,
because they're all
and this
very
is
loyal
what we're
to Feige.
talking about, though, in terms of DC trying to be like Marvel under David
It's not a good
Zaslav's
idea.
leadership. It's not that. It's not the problem is that it's not just people. This is why I preface the fact that we're trying to be more informative and not so fanboyish in the way that we cover this story, because people assume that all that needs to happen is you get one guy in charge. He's the magic sauce that makes great things happen. It's not just Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is a very specific person, a very specific
and
individual.
also Nate Moore, Luis Piano, Victoria Alonso, all those producers.
Well, that's what I'm
behind
saying.
them.
You have to have good people working underneath that head of the studio as well. It's not just one.
Yeah.
It's not just Kevin Feige. It's also Louis D'Esposito. What was it? Nate Parker?
No, Nate Moore. Nate Moore.
Nate Moore. Thank you. Nate Moore. Victoria Alonso. It's
Yeah.
those people also
Brad
who help
Woodward.
craft Marvel Studios into being what it is.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
it's just
thing.
the
So
Parliament.
can David Zaslav assemble the right team to run DC Studios, whatever it becomes?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I think he can. I mean, look at he has like a pretty good studio like as it is right now with DC right now. I mean, if you just replace a couple of people here and there, I think he can kind of get a more like running machine there. And plus, a lot of the problems with DC right now aren't even its films, but some of the stars sort of like getting into trouble. If I'm being honest, like Ezra Miller,
it's talent, it's creative, flux stuff too. I mean, that's a whole other thing too.
Well, even some Marvel star has been in trouble in the past.
There has
but
been,
they
but like
never bring it
when
up.
was the last time you talked about Evangeline Lilly or like
They never bring it up. They just give it.
Evangeline Lilly and Letitia Wright. You're not
Letitia Wright,
hearing
like,
about
when
it.
was the last time you talked about them?
Yeah, they don't. It's not frequent in the news.
Yeah,
But no, Rodney, you're correct with that assumption. A lot of Marvel's success was also just because of sheer dumb luck too. Some of it was just being lucky. A lot of it was luck too. Marvel was just a very special machine. I mean, it just is. It's a once in a million, once in a lifetime kind of thing that it worked the way it did.
I never thought the Avengers would be $1 billion brand. I never thought that.
More than $1 billion, a $3 billion brand at this point.
$3 billion. But when
Actually,
when the first
billion.
Avengers came out, the Avengers in 2012, I was like, nah, this movie's probably gonna make maybe 700, 800, but no.
Well, real quick, and Darth Skip, that's a subjective thing. You may not like what Marvel is doing right now, but it's undeniable they've been so successful. They are the most successful studio in Hollywood right now. The most successful studio. Feige is the most successful producer in the history of this business, and this is the most successful franchise on the planet of the last decade plus.
I said people in the shop, bro.
I did hear something. If I may be here, I did hear somebody that they're going to get somebody to help run the TV stuff a little bit better than Feige, because it's been kind of clear that the TV stuff hasn't been working as well as the movie stuff. So there might be.
Well, the problem is that Feige is only one person. He can only be stretched so far. I think it would be smarter if he appointed one of his deputies, like a Louis D'Esposito or Victoria Alonso, to head up the TV side of things.
They actually do have somebody like that too, as well. Like heading up the guy that did the What If stuff. He's heading up that right now, So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, real quick, Eddie, what do you think about all this? We've heard thus far from this.
I mean, I don't know. I keep hearing all the time about people trying to copy Marvel or trying to get other people from that brand brought in to try to fix things or make things at least in order. I mean, look, they could try all they want. I mean, I always, it's like when you think of different studios, you think of them doing their own things. Obviously, everything's separate. They run things the way they run things, while others, obviously vice versa, stuff like that. But it's like, I guess if you got to resort to doing this to guaranteeing it back in order, I mean, it might as well. I don't know how they're going to fix it, but
I mean,
yeah. And yes, please hit the thumbs up button. It really helps out. We got 50 people watching, so please hit that like button. It really helps us out.
Oh yeah, Peacemaker was good. I didn't
Yeah,
not like the
Peacemaker was
first 4
fantastic.
episodes.
Like, what is
The
this
four-
fixing we need to
yeah.
be worried about with like DC? Like, other than like a couple of key
Well,
players.
I mean,
Well,
there's a
movie
there's a
division,
structural
the
issue. I
movie
think it's a
division,
priority
yeah,
issue where
yeah,
certain characters aren't
structure,
getting off the ground the way they need to be.
Yeah,
I
And
mean,
they need their own
I'm
studio.
I'm thinking of DC and the Wizarding World because those are the two things I wanted to get fixed already. But
Yeah.
Oh my
Well, we
God,
still got a lot
please.
more to read, so let's keep going.
Sorry for interrupting, guys.
But Zach probably need to stick to eat. Oh, well, actually, okay. So they bring up how they're looking for someone to run this thing, right? People are questioning who could run this DC vertical, right? It can't be Jeff Johns. It can't be Louis D'Esposito. It's not gonna be Kevin Feige. So here's what's written in the Puck article. But Zaslav probably will need to either stick with DC's current chief, Walter Hamada, which few expect him to do, or take a chance on yet another leader for the unit. Zaslav has been looking, but given Feige's stature in town and the inevitable comparisons between Marvel and DC, this is among the most thankless, high-profile gigs in entertainment. And this is what we've been hearing, folks. This is actual factual information here that I'm presenting to you. Okay. A lot of people in the industry are very lukewarm on taking the job of running DC Studios. I think that Matt brings up a great point. This is very much a thankless job. It's not going to be easy, whoever runs this. I know people don't want to hear this, but as limited as I think the possibility is, I don't think this is going to happen. But I would not be shocked if Walter Hamada stays and he just is given new directives by David Zaslav. I think Hamada could work under this new regime if he is given the parameters and the rules and the orders by Zaslav and restructures what he's doing. I'm not saying I want that, nor I think it's more likely he gets somebody new. I'm just saying it seems like the search for somebody new is difficult because a lot of people simply just don't want the job and don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
No
because you're
person
going to
in
be compared to
Hollywood.
Kevin Feige, and that's a very hard comparison to beat.
For sure.
So your guys' thoughts
Okay,
on that?
think of it this way. Do you guys know Emma Watts, right?
Yeah, they mentioned her in the article.
Yeah,
later
Emma
down,
Watts.
too.
Like she's like bounced from studio to studio for the past 2 years, so she is desperate for a job, and if she's not going to take it, you know you're kind of in trouble.
I think she just want more money. I think she just like
No,
give me a
dude,
little
Emma
bit of
Watts
money.
has been like kicked
Emma
off.
Watts has the money, man. Like she don't need more
But
money.
I don't think she want to take over DC because like I think most people in Hollywood is scared of taking the job of DC.
Yeah.
Because
Emma
they
Watts
see
is probably going to
they
MGM, that's a
see
good point.
DC as a not profitable.
Well,
that's what they
I
see
think the
DC.
point is that DC has
In
such a
Hollywood.
bad reputation, such a
Yeah.
toxic reputation. And let's be fair here, it is a fractured, divided fandom. So
It
divided,
is,
so
yeah.
fractured. Who wants to inherit that mess? Who has the guts and the tenacity to guide this ship and to fix it? It's a sinking ship. Who's going to want to take over as
That's Iger.
captain and power through and figure out what they need to do to get there? Right? I mean, that is the biggest problem that we're seeking right now.
Adam
And that
Sandler
is
should run these. Oh my god.
that's the question. Like, what do we do? Right? And this is where things are going to get really interesting. So to continue saying, question though, if there were normal. Oh, sorry. So it brings up that he's been looking, but no one seems to want to take the job yet, and that Walter Hamada, again, very unlikely. I want to clarify that. The article even says it's very unlikely Hamada stays, but it could happen. It could.
That's a 50-50, yeah.
Hamada's like hang on to that lifeboat for the Flash. He's like, God damn, this movie has to hit hard and fast.
Question though, and this is where the article gets a little mean-spirited towards the Snyderverse, and I just want to clarify, I don't agree with this, but I am reading it because there is some news in here. Question though, if there were no Marvel, would we even be saying DC needs help? I would personally. I still think they do need help.
No.
At least on the film side, the unit seems to have recovered from the Zack Snyder Snyderverse garbage. I don't agree with that statement. With crowd-pleasing hits like the Batman, Aquaman, Joker, and Wonder Woman, some of them with darker themes that Disney wouldn't touch. The upcoming Black Adam movie has The Rock, and The Flash with the multiverse and several Batmans is testing super high if Star Ezra Miller can keep himself off of TMZ. So again, we're hearing again and again that Flash is testing very well, which is good to hear. I'm glad that it seems to be
I believe until I see it.
I don't agree, though, that DC has been recovered from the Zack Snyderverse garbage. I don't think it's fair to call the Snyderverse garbage. I think it's a very hyperbolic term and a very hyperbolic thing to say. I wouldn't say that.
You
And
could
while
say
the
you don't
hat-
like his movies. You could say
Right.
that. But
And
don't call it
also,
garbage.
if I may add one more thing here, I actually was watching Matt Boney's podcast, and he said, "Oh, I heard not very good things about Thor and Weather because it's too Taika Waititi," and I'm just like,
Wait, what?
like there's this one part in one of his pieces where he was talking to Scott Mendelson about how he heard from people like working at Disney that Thor and Thunder was actually not as good as Ragnarok, and he said it was too much like Taika Waititi, and I'm just like, okay, that's definitely a take. I mean, look at I mean, look at if it's more Taika Waititi, don't we want that from like these like films?
But
It's kind
another
of
thing
bizarre.
to point out about Bologna and Mendelsohn
Yeah.
is that they thought the MCU should have ended after Endgame.
No, actually, no. Mendelssohn's actually been pretty fair about that. He's been pretty fair about
Well,
the
Mendelssohn's
MCU.
a joke.
Mendelssohn's a bum ass. He's
What are
a
you
bum
talking
ass.
about? Like the guy is pretty uber, like super, like
No,
really great as an
he's
analyst.
a garbage.
I
He's
think
garbage.
Mendelssohn does some decent box office breakdowns, but other than that, I think he's a very
No, he just got exposed.
he's a
as
very
burner
negative reviewer, and I think he's just a very negative pundit in the space. I'm
He
not
is very
quite a
negative.
fan of
I've
Scott
seen
Mendelsohn
way
doing
worse.
that.
I've seen way worse.
No,
I think Mendelssohn's one of the
he's-
worst, to be
he
honest.
was
That's
one
just
of
my
them.
opinion.
No, it's David Elrich. It's David.
Yeah.
Elrich.
David Elrich's pretty negative too, but he works for IndieWire and he's a bit of a snob, so it's kind of expected.
Look, all I gotta say is
He's
Matt
bad too,
Bologna,
though, don't
I
get me
do
wrong,
like him.
but-
I don't agree with him on a lot of. I don't agree with him on everything, but more often than right, he's pretty on the mark. That's just me. I don't mean to like cause a stir or anything.
Yeah. So again, I don't agree with this statement. I think calling the Zack Snyderverse garbage is whatever. But we're continuing on. So they do mention Flash is testing very well, which is great to hear. Plus, I'm told Todd Phillips is getting pretty close on a Joker sequel. Zaz also wants Phillips involved on the movie strategy too. Kim Masters reported. So yeah, we're hearing that Zazloff wants Todd Phillips as an advisor for DC films, which I am very, 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 very mixed on.
With all
I
due
don't know if I
respect.
like that idea.
He's not going to be an advisor. He's going to be just. They'll just literally talk to him about like stuff like that. It's like, hey, dude, we're going to write this project or that project. It would just be a quick little conversation here and there. He's not going to be like a major head of the studio, if that actually pursues. And I'm doubtful that he will take it.
I respect Todd Phillips. He's an amazing director. I'm sorry, Todd, but I don't want a Joker 2. I love your work.
I don't even
wanna
think.
see
No,
that.
it's not even
I
just
don't
Joker
wanna see
2. It's
that.
more so. I don't
And
think
him being
Joker
advisor
is like
for
the standard
DC.
for all which that DC needs to be made with.
That'd be a big
The
mistake.
standards, I don't know about the standards that every DC project should be the Joker. But like as advisor, I'm a little bit worried. I don't want him to have a lot of input in DC. You could give advice to Zaslav. Other than that, that's it. That's it. His advice would be perfectly fine. Just don't have him oversee anything. Just give him advice.
I mean,
that's it.
Overseeing?
Amazing director.
Eddie?
Amazing director.
no, I mean, I get it. Todd Phillips is kind of a weird suggestion, but at the same time, it's like this is not him directing or his specific style. Obviously, if he wouldn't get that type of role, overseeing everything, he knows what movies have different styles, what movie are PG and rated R or stuff like that. So I don't think it's gonna happen. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure he knows not to have a specific tone for, or at least the same tone for each movie. Obviously, that's what didn't work before when it came to DC. People didn't like the same tone. People didn't like that everything was too serious. So obviously, when it comes to something like Joker that he made, it's like, no, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't do that for an overall thing for DC. If anything, that would cause another concern if he did that.
I don't even give the credit to WB for Joker. They didn't even want to do the Joker.
Yeah. They basically
I do not give
handed
them
that
that
thing
credit.
off like just basically just like
don't
like
give
there
them that.
like Toby Emmerich tried to like sort of very much get that thing like not made, try to cancel it.
I don't give them the credit for Joker. Other than that, that's it.
You know who I give credit to the Joker as well? Is Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, Bradley
Yeah,
Cooper.
he's
he was
the one who
like
got it
a
made.
champion of that movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this is my opinion. I don't think Joker 2 needs to be made. I think it's ridiculous. That's a big priority for Zaslav. I think I would much
Yeah,
prioritize
that
other
is.
things over Joker 2. And I don't think that Joker's success can be replicated. I think Joker's success was an anomaly,
Yeah.
and trying to copy the template of Joker and apply that to other characters or to another film, I think is a great mistake.
Yo,
And I just don't I don't know. I just don't think it'll
give him a Scarecrow movie, a Mr. Freeze movie, whatever.
No, I don't know. I
But
don't know
not
about
another
those.
Joker sequel. I mean, you could have that for my Reeve, sure.
Get into
I
like the
don't
whole
want to see.
Sony thing. It's
Give
like you're
him,
just making shitty movies.
give him another DC character instead of Joker. I respect Joker. I don't want to see Joker 2. Joker 1 was amazing, a 10 out of 10. You're not gonna replicate. You're not gonna do Joker again with $1 billion. I don't see that happening again. I'm sorry. Just no.
So continuing on, it says perhaps DC can be better integrated into the rest of the company, like with the HBO Max spin-off shows such as The Peacemaker and the upcoming Penguin. Making it a standalone silo could help that process, but it's already kind of replicating Marvel in its own way. And given what's in motion already, any major change wouldn't take effect for a couple years anyway, and that's true. The slate for the next 2 years is already planned out this year and next year. So any major
What about
changes
10
would
years?
not. Well,
10 years, like 10 years, dude. We're not even sure like the
Oh,
whole plan's
oh,
gonna be around
I
in
think
10
he's talking
years.
about Marvel. My bad.
Yeah, so like that's the thing with DC, any major changes won't be felt until 2024, 2025 at the earliest. That's for DC.
Wow.
Because they already have 2 years worth of slate already planned out.
Yeah, they have. And we don't have anything until 2024, right? For DC, right?
Yeah, nothing for 2024. That's
Nothing
gonna
in
be,
yeah.
that's gonna be
So
clean off the slate.
we have Aquaman,
Nothing
Flash.
confirmed at least.
We got Aquaman, Flash, and Blue Beetle for 2024.
The only movie we know is in the pipeline down the horizon is Wonder Woman 3. That's it. Like after that, we have no clue what's next.
With Patty, I don't get. No, Jesus Christ, no.
Okay, let's talk about the remake. 'Cause this is one I'm actually very curious about.
Yeah. So this is the second part. Disney remakes the hits. No disrespect to Disney and Bailey, it's really hard to make a good movie, but a big chunk of the success of the live action can we attribute to the risk minimizing strategy of remaking beloved Disney IP, like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Cruella, The Lion King, and next year's The Little Mermaid. Warner's New Line also have great libraries, of course. I'm sure Luca and Abdy's first task is to comb through the archives, plus figure out a way to jumpstart Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. But remember that Warner's has already scrapped the IP barrel, hence Space Jam 2. Yes, that happened. It wasn't a pandemic fever dream. Every studio has scrapped, but it's just that Disney's library is better. So it's still a big question. What kind of movies will DeLuca and Abdy make at Warner's New Line, and what will the split of theatrical versus stream be? Ex-Paramount exec Emma Watts, who interviewed for the job at Zaslav, said to have asked for bigger greenlight authority than DeLuca and Abdy got. It's no secret that their MGM movies mostly lost money, and I doubt Zaslav wants Licorice Pizza with its $40 million budget anyway. But Mike has always been super likable and has great talent relationships. I made some cracks with his MGM spending last fall. When I saw him at the company's awards season holiday party, he was friendly and ready to debate it with me, which is more than I can say for most skin-thinned movie executives. He's a survivor who made some truly excellent commercial movies as producer and executives like Boogie Nights, Austin Powers, and The Social Network. We'll forget about The Kitchen, the most recent film he produced for Warner's. The Kitchen was god-awful. Horrible.
It was pretty bad. He's produced a lot of garbage too. Like
What's Blade?
But he has produced Boogie Nights, Austin Powers, and The Social Network, so he's got some hits on him too.
And also 50 Shades of Grey and the Ghost Rider movies. So
yes. Plus, he's got a major protector in CAA, which has fed him projects and helped him land jobs over the years. In many ways, the ascendancy of DeLuca and Abdy and Warner Brothers can be seen as the ultimate revenge by CAA's Brian Lord, who was incensed by former Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar and Emmerich for failing to inform in advance of the decision to go day and date for all 2021 movies. Now Kilar and Emmerich are out, and Lord has his guy in the chair.
I don't like the blaming Kilo. I did not like that.
I don't know. I think that was
I
Kior,
did
my
not
dude.
like
That was all Kior.
I don't like that blaming Kilo. I wish I would have kept him.
Like,
but
he made a
whatever.
mistake, you know. I think he learned from it and he moved on.
This is also a big question. Who buys the Lord of the Rings rights, which are set to be going on sale pretty soon? Will it be Jeff Bezos paying his Amazon money, or will Zaslav try and secure that? It's going to be at least
I think Zaslav might buy for that because that's one of his that's one of the IPs he needs to like fucking succeed for this thing.
If I was David Zaslav, I would open those checkbooks and bid on Lord of the Rings to get that back at all costs. Because that would be huge for Warner Brothers to keep
I
Lord of
don't
the
know,
Rings
bro.
in-house.
Bezos has so much money than Zaslav. It's not even funny. I don't know if Zaslav has.
So long as Bezos
2.5.
gets to keep his Lord of the Rings show going, I don't think he's going to care.
Yeah, you know what else? You know what else actually
yeah.
got added to like
He paid
Amazon's like
500.
nice little cap there? Voltron, a live action Voltron movie is going to be there as well.
Yeah,
It started at $2.5
I'm sorry, the
billion.
price starts at 2.5 billion.
Okay, so
Damn.
yeah, it's going to be a big bid.
What about other companies? I mean,
Yeah,
they
no.
can get one.
King
Zazlov's not
Kong.
gonna.
Actually, that's a good
Zazlov's not
question.
gonna.
Does Warner Brothers still own King Kong?
Oh yeah, no, they do own
No.
King Kong. It's just the Godzilla rights.
Yeah,
They have
Godzilla.
that it's kind of iffy about.
But yeah, no, I don't see Zaslav biting Lord of the Rings again. Especially if
He
it's starting at
should. He should
2.5.
try and keep it, or he should try and work a deal with Amazon
based
so
off-
that they can co-own it.
No, I'm sure if he was, if it was at like 0.5 billion, he'd be like, yeah, I'll try to bite it, or like at least at the most 1 billion. But it's too high for him. He's already spent a lot of money buying Warner Brothers and spinning off with that.
What if you get another company to buy it so they can split it?
What are you going on there? That just makes no sense. Like, I would buy another company to buy the rights. I don't know, just buy him
No, I'm
outright.
talking about like he get another partner to buy it, like
No,
so they could both share. No, yeah, okay.
He's like he says, he's more about show business rather than show friends. So if he's going to have if he's going to have an IP, he's going to want to have it solely for himself. But at the same time, he's not going to want to pay more than $1 billion to buy it back. You know,
I thought they're making a anime series of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's probably
That's for Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Oh, Warner Brothers. Yeah. Okay. I thought Brothers. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Caden, I was going to say,
yeah.
Caden, would you mind reading this next part about animation?
Zaslav is probably right that Warner Brothers isn't a big player in animation as it should be, but creating a silo isn't exactly flipping a switch on a hit machine. Disney going all the way back to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is synonymous with future animation, and even Disney had to go by Pixar and executive talent to remain competitive. Universal became a major player with Illumination and DreamWorks animation deals, not because it created a silo. Warner Bros. Animation has hits, but it's not on the level of Disney or Universal because its owner hasn't invested as greatly. Pretty simple. Maybe a major hit from Disney could jumpstart that rebuild back into David Ellison's Skydance hiring Pixar co-founder Jay Lasseter. So it's basically saying that, like, Warner Brothers Animation, it's great. It's just not as a hit machine as Disney is.
Well, because Warner Brothers, as they
Disney
mentioned, I mean, when you think Disney, you think animation. Like, Disney is the king
Pixar,
of animated films. Pixar, Disney Animation, just by
Right.
itself.
I mean,
Warner Brothers is not. I mean, they have Bugs Bunny.
It's
but
like
not
Disney, then
Disney,
Universal, then like.
I mean, although Warner Brothers,
And actually, if I may, too, there's also been a really bad history of Warner Brothers Animation as a whole because a lot of their animation productions are like just heavily bottom drop. There's actually this great book diving into like the production of like the Iron Giant and like how it was such a pain in the ass to get everything put there because like the people at Warner Brothers were trying to produce these films like they're live action instead of animation. But like animation, everything's kind of set in place, and so when stuff like when they want to change something, they would try to do it sporadically, and it just wouldn't work. So that's a big issue. That was like 20 to 30 years ago. So there's that. So maybe I think there's like an opportunity to sort of like put this like in a better position there.
Yeah, I know, Degrassi, you've been predicting this for a while. You've been saying for a while, Degrassi, that you believe that Warner's will license out the publishing of DC Comics to another publisher.
I believe that.
That would be crazy, but I could see them doing that just to try and leverage
Dark
money.
Horse especially.
Yeah,
like
I could definitely see DC licensing out the properties to Dark Horse and have Dark Horse take over publishing of DC characters.
Yeah,
which would be insane. Like that's an insane idea to even think about, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, nothing's out of the realm of possibilities at this point.
I mean, with DC Animation, they have a couple good movies under the belt, but they need to put the volume in their production. That's all they need.
But yeah,
I don't think that would happen either, though, Will Wallace. I don't think that they would strip Warner down and sell off individual pieces. I don't think
that would be crazy.
They bought the company. They're gonna make this fucking thing work, even if it kills them.
Yeah,
this has to succeed, or else Zazoff is fucked.
Yeah, and so who's the grown up in the room? Probably the most challenging aspect of Disney fiction,
Disneyfication,
of Warner fixation, of Warner Brothers is that there's no proven leader overseeing it all. Horn played the role masterfully at Disney, and now Alan Bergman has taken over with Fox assets in Lucasfilm. That's 7 saddles reporting to Bergman, but Warner isn't far behind with 4. Who's the train conductor and quality control? Zaslav, who has never made a movie and whose experience at Discovery Network is largely with content like My Feet Are Killing Me, a real show, and Ladies Liposuction. I made that one up. He's making a big
That
bet
is a great
on
point,
managing
though.
all
Like,
these
I know
film
people don't like
executives and
to.
stuff.
Not to cut you off, Cameron, just for a second. I just want to mention that's a lot of things that people fail to realize too. Zaslav is new to this. He doesn't make movies. He makes
Yeah.
he makes Discovery Channel like reality TV.
That's why he's keeping Emmerich. That's why he's keeping Emmerich on this lot. And
But I thought
having him
Emmerich
hold
was
his hand.
fired.
No, dude, Emmerich is not fired. He's still in the studio.
Well,
man.
I keep hearing he's fired. So is he
Well,
fired?
Zaslav won Sex in the City reboot.
You're already getting that, like on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Have you not been paying attention, Anthony? Jesus, come on.
The org structure is lean and mean, but seems like it's missing a key person. None of this matters, of course, unless the investment is there to compete. And that's the big question mark in the new Warners. Zazov's $3 billion in promised synergies at Warner Bros. Discovery will soon lead to major layoffs, with many of the lower-paid Discovery people taking over for higher-paid Warner veterans. Under
That's
AT&T,
crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. Like, not only that there's going to be massive layoffs, but the lower level, like less paid Warner people, Discovery people will be taking over those higher paid, higher coveted Warner positions. That's crazy to think about.
Damn,
that's actually really interesting. You're kind of bringing in reality, like you're basically bringing in Discovery Network people to run Warner Brothers. Like that's I don't know.
Interesting and concerning.
That's interesting and very concerning. That's the thing that people got to pay attention to.
Pretty much, he's getting his own people to come over.
He's getting his own people, but those people don't have the same level of experience as the Warner people do.
Yeah, no. It's like saying, let me go grab this intern over here from Disney and let him run Warner Bros. Like,
not even that. Like,
but that would be cheap, right?
Comparison be like, okay,
that'd be cheap, but it will
all
run
these
your
guys.
company to the
Okay, so
ground.
let's say like, let's say KFC bought Taco Bell. Okay, all you fast food workers who work at KFC are to start making tacos. Like, it's just like it's not the same thing. I mean, like you can learn it, but it's gonna be that learning curve too. And plus, it's like they're not experienced with that. It's like running a complete different kind of restaurant.
It's pretty funny.
And under
taking the fucking tacos, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, under AT&T, Warner's suffered a major brain drain in television, but film studios was less impacted. Scroll down a little bit, RJ.
HBO Max is like untouchable, you know.
Yeah,
they're gonna leave that alone.
A loss on the movie side would hurt badly, no matter how the company is organized. Yeah, so but basically the last line is basically saying, like, at AT&T, the film studio is booming like crazy, but was less impacted. While the television was not there fully yet, it was just still like here and there. Now it's like comparing the Discovery versus AT&T and saying under Discovery, I'm sure the television will be like crazy good, like you can expect a lot of TV, but movies, like the 20 to 25 movie per year, that's gonna be very concerning and interesting to see.
My bad. KFC does own Taco Bell. I mean, you know what I meant though. Like a Mexican restaurant versus a chicken place. Like you get my point. You understand my comparison, but yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's the Puck News article. I mean, what do you guys think about that? About what it kind of said? I mean, there's a lot of interesting information in there. It's a lot to go over and process, but it kind of just goes in line with what I've kind of been saying for a while that people get really mad at me for saying. And that's that Zazoff is cheap. He's inexperienced, and there's a lot of growing pains in the next couple of years. And I think things are not going to go in the way people think it's going to go whatsoever.
I will give him this. I will give Dowd this. He's humble. He understands that he's new to this, and he's getting like some of the like best advice from the top people in the industry. So there's that. That's good. That's like a really good thing. So that tells me that he's able to learn and stuff like that. But like, don't expect like hits out of the gate, like just out of the front there. It's going to take fucking time, And again, I mean, the thing about Matt Boy I do love is that he actually fucking he actually cares about what he writes about. He's actually very precise about what he writes about. This is why I think he's probably one of the best journalists in the industry. Matt Bologna. He's fantastic. I think he's a great dive at taking a deep dive at this. So there you go.
I like the article. I think there's some great points they made. Yes, him talking to Bye Bye and Alan Hall are great steps. Instead of taking advice from them and taking notes on how to rebuild Warner Brothers that it used to be back in the day with Alan Hall when they care about talent and trust them with this stuff, and stuff like that. I mean, he wants DC to succeed because Hollywood see DC as most likely as a not as a failure or not.
I wouldn't say
well,
it's a failure. I just say it's
not
kind
a failure. Well, technically as a
What's up, Matt? Welcome.
not enough popularity on the movie division.
Oh
That's it.
shit, Matt's here. How
Not
you doing, Matt?
hosted by Max, but hosted by me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I was like, you were quick to act on that one there, man. I was like, all right, cool.
I was. He is out of town. So what did you think? What did you think of the thumbnail?
You know what? It's too clean to be Max's. That's what I figured on that.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, did you like the title though? Is David Zaslav Hollywood's Mr. Krabs?
I mean, yeah. Sorry, yeah, kinda. Let me just turn my freaking airplane mode on. There you go. Yeah, kind of he is, man. He's absolutely the kind of guy who's gonna like look at.
So yeah, we read the Puck News article. It kind of really went into a lot of details about stuff about the DC. How apparently, here's an interesting, Matt. The Puck News article from Matthew Baloney is saying that nobody like Zazoff is apparently having a very tough time finding someone to head up a job that many in the industry consider to be worthless. That's not a great job to take over. To be
what the head of DC or what?
The head of the DC vertical, yes. And apparently, it's going to be a very thankless job. It's going to be a very tough job because of the comparisons to Marvel and the fact they're going to be inheriting a mess, basically.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. It's going to be a nightmare. I mean, like this is why when I say like if like let's say for example Zaslav came to me, right, and like somehow he was all like he just finds me on the internet and he's like, hey, you want to try it? And I'd be like, yeah, but here's my pitch, and I've already said I'd cancel everything and I'd start over again with animation. Like that's it. You know, and that's what someone's going to have to do. Not necessarily that, but like the real hard choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing, too. And one of the other things, obviously, and the reason I kind of started this whole stream is that it's, you heard, I don't know if you heard, but Raised by Wolves has been canceled.
Yeah, I was
Max's first big original hit show. And it's kind of leading to this debate that I've been seeing. It's just like, is Zaslav so cheap and so business oriented in terms of being so profit hungry that, you know, kind of like Mr. Krabs, but, you know, it's just like, is his mindset going to be successful or not? And will it lead to good entertainment, or is it going to lead to very cheap, worthless kind of content?
Well, I mean, what have I been saying about the kind of content Zaslav makes, right? He produces reality TV effectively.
Well, that was
right?
from the Puck News article mentioned too. He's very inexperienced when it comes to this, which is why he's getting people who know what they're doing in those places.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously Raised by Wolves season 2 didn't have as much of an impact as season 1. I feel the same issue happens with a lot of these shows where if there's not a real big push by the general audience to talk about it, it can really hurt it. Raised by Wolves season 1, you know, like that's a show that had a lot of people talking. I think at the time, because it was like, for one, Ridley Scott's name was attached to it. 2, it was a new show on a new streaming service, so there was something new to watch.
It was also due to the pandemic also.
Yeah, and people just kind of like dove into it because it was something different. But like season 2 came and went, you know, and I didn't even see like, you know,
there's a lack of marketing though, too, though.
Lack of marketing also too.
Well, let's be fair. There's a lack of marketing across the board when it comes to streaming content, right? Like I didn't even know there was a new South Park movie that came out.
Oh yeah, that was like bizarre
too. They shadow dropped it. They dropped it the same day they announced it.
Yeah, no. They announced it before.
Well, I'm saying like they dropped it with like no marketing whatsoever. They said, "Here, it's out now."
Yeah, but that's kind of the whole point.
No trailer, no nothing.
How do you market? But like, how do you market something new on streaming? You know, like Netflix went all out for Stranger Things because that's been popular and that's going to be pretty big. Yeah. But again, it's like the problem I see is that they treat these shows like they treat movies. They do these world premieres, these big parties in LA, you know, they walk the red carpet, Variety's there with that guy with the bow tie, you know, and then it goes on Twitter and like, oh, look, it's the red carpet for this. But here's the thing, man, no one in like the outside of that sphere gives one iota of a crap about entertainment coverage from the trades.
Yeah, I would.
No
agree
one
with
cares
that.
anymore.
It's a big issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Real quick, Tim Soul. No, actually, Our Flag Means Death season 2 was announced a couple days ago. They are moving forward.
that is true.
So
that is true.
means-
Yeah.
So that means
that's actually
that
a fantastic show from Taika Waititi. It's really good.
So that means that the Warriors, that's by HBO, will most likely get canceled by Zaslav.
I mean, well, okay. So just the other day,
And Pennyworth, because they say Pennyworth is moving to
Pennyworth
DC.
isn't for HBO Max, though, is it?
No,
well, no, it will be. It was on Epics. It was on Epics, but I think they're moving it to HBO Max.
Like watches Epics.
Well, MGM just spent $8.9 billion to get access to it.
Oh well, you know that's Amazon.
So, because that was owned by MGM, and so now it's owned by Amazon, which means it's going to be merged into Amazon Instant.
I think Pennyworth will get one last season. That's it.
Well, that's the thing. That's all. See, here's the thing with Raised by Wolves. That's what I said on Twitter earlier today. Is like, look, I haven't seen the show. I know people like it. Give them a finale. Give them a final season. Let them wrap up the story and break the cycle. Because what happens, and I keep talking about this. I've been talking about this for 20 fucking years. You know, there is a level of animosity that people have towards a lot of new shows. And the reason why is because they don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, when people watch these shows and they form attachments, they literally form like emotional attachments. It's been proven that their cortisol levels raise when a show gets abruptly canceled, or even like a character they like on the show dies, because it feels to them like physical pain. And after a while, there is a hesitancy to continue to go down that pathway. Why would you want?
Like Netflix has canceled so many shows; it's burned out their audience. I mean, like, why should I invest in this new thing?
Well, exactly,
There's no
exactly.
guarantee it's going to continue.
Exactly. And I'm not saying like limited series are more the thing you should focus on. Obviously a well-crafted story, but you know, Raised by Wolves, I read one of the producers or whatever today was saying like, you know, he's like, we got a fully fledged season 3. We have it all storyboarded. We have it all figured out.
Yeah, I'm sure they already planned it out.
Can somebody
They're
buy it?
ready to do it.
Maybe,
if it's,
but I'm highly doubtful of that because of the budget and the price tag.
well, I mean, it's all like, it all depends on like, you know, if it's owned by Warner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if
And
it's
also
not
the licensing
Apple,
is what I'll
probably
be paying
try to
the
buy
ass as
it.
well, you know.
Because Apple's trying to get into those big budget series type things. So.
I could see Apple picking it up if there's a big enough
I
push
can
for
see
it.
that.
They
But you know what's
do
pretty
it, Ted
interesting
Lasso.
though was the JJ thing, is that the fact that like the same day that Zazloff was sort of like grilling JJ, they announced that Speed Racer, like a not a Apple TV Plus series, produced by
Which
Warner
is still
Music.
being
Which
produced by
that's
Warner Bros.
crazy to
TV.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean-
going to be produced by Warner Brothers Television. So
Yeah, I mean that's.
Do
I
they
mean,
even
again,
got the
like think about
money?
Warner Brothers that they do distribute a lot of content outward. Like you get example that as the new Sandman show. It's gonna be on Netflix.
Which I'm
Sandman,
sure-
Sweet
which I
Tooth,
think-
Sandman and Sweet Tooth are both on Netflix.
No,
They're made
and
by
I
Warner
think
Brothers.
next week for that.
and I also think Zazoff might be mad about Sandman and Sweet Tooth going to Netflix because it's like
Well, yeah,
No, I don't think he is.
should be. He should be.
Because for one, those predate this whole deal by like a year.
But I'm saying like that's
All
not
right.
the kind of business decisions that should be made. Like they
Well,
need to make project
but
prepared.
again, how much? But hold on, how much is the Sandman cost to make? A lot.
Actually, look that up.
Will Sandman do well on HBO Max? That's the question.
No, I wouldn't. No.
The question you have to start. You guys are looking at it, I think, through the wrong lens. HBO Max needs to make HBO content and then push it to the max.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Barry, for
Barry.
example. Game of
It's
Thrones.
15 million per episode.
For Game of Thrones?
No, for Sandman.
So
Yeah,
actually,
Matt,
they're not paying
I-
that kind.
I
They're
would
not paying
think,
that kind of money.
Actually,
Yeah.
Matt, if
And
I
there's
may interrupt
going to
you
be
here,
11
I don't
episodes
think
for
Game of
Sandman.
Thrones is like the best example. I actually think a better example is honestly like stuff like Succession, Barry, Entourage. I mean,
You do know that Game of Thrones is like their number one property, right? Even still,
Game of Thrones
3
is
years
huge.
after the show ended, it's still their
Well,
number one
I
property.
have heard some concerns though.
Game of
Matt,
Thrones?
for House
Fuck
of the
no, it isn't.
House
Is
of the
it?
Dragon.
Yeah.
They
no, it's
listed
really
like
popular.
Have
I don't
you
believe that.
the
everyone
hype?
has
Oh my!
listed Game of Thrones is
Bro,
their number one. It's
House
Game of
of
Thrones.
Dra-
Game of
bro,
Thrones was like
see that-
revolutionary for fucking HBO. Okay,
Yes,
let me
it
just
did.
give you guys the raw data. Okay, just like the general data
Okay, I'm gonna
from
look
like the
this up.
first season to the last season. Okay, at the end of the first season, the show was being pirated about 4 million times an episode.
Oh
That
my
equaled
God.
the amount of viewers that they had watching it on the app, right, or watching it on the service at
Okay,
the time.
hey, Matt.
Hold
actually,
on,
I
let
gotta-
me
I gotta
finish.
this video.
Let me finish. At the end of season 8, 19 million people were watching it on HBO. 19 million people were pirating it. The reason why piracy is important in this particular scenario is because the producers openly championed it for years because they understood that even though people may not purchase the subscription to HBO and they might pirate it, but guess what they do buy? They buy merchandise, they buy the DVD box sets, and the sales for the home video were insanely high, predominantly because of the piracy.
Yeah.
So
Look
I'm
at that. Look at that. Game of Thrones #1, and I agree with that. 100%.
But
Ted Lasso,
for
I thought
HBO,
Ted Lasso was
for
#1
Dragon
about
specifically at HBO, I feel like thinking about Zazoff's probably going to do it again. I do think there will be like more somewhat IP stuff with Game of Thrones, but I think HBO is going to be more focused on stuff like Euphoria, this is our city, Chernobyl, stuff like that. It's
Well,
more,
that's
they do get pretty good splashes though,
that's
regardless,
premier
even though they're
HBO
not
content
catered
that
to
they should be
us. But,
focusing on. That's kind of something they need to be focused on too.
Well, okay, so Chernobyl is like a good example of a limited series.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones isn't a limited series. It's an adaptation of a book, right? Like The Last of Us is an
Dragons new territory for
it's new territory, exactly. But I think because it's new territory and like D&D are
Westworld.
Westworld has its audiences. Like I don't think Westworld is like as popular as they want it to be, especially for the cost of the show. But it's won enough awards and it's won enough accolades that they've kept it around for that. You have to understand a lot of this stuff boils down to if it's a money sink, as long as it's winning awards, they don't care.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I was saying too. Because again, a lot of HBO shows do pretty good. Actually, Succession is actually one of several Emmys also as well. You know.
Well, Succession is a big one. That's again, that's not a limited series. That is an ongoing
I'm
show.
I'm talking about ongoing series.
But you were just talking about Chernobyl, and that's a limited series.
That was like one of the highest rated shows, like in HBO Max history. HBO. It was
in
like
HBO, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
3.
So, well, where's your source on that?
It was like Screen Rant. I literally looked at it right here. Look at this. So
okay,
just look it up. It's like right here. So it's like okay, got it right here. Okay, so #1, Chernobyl, 2001, Band of the Brothers. #3, Game of Thrones. The Wire. #4, Sopranos. Succession. At #6, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Just more like
what is he?
like
but what is the are these like overall like streaming numbers or what are we talking about?
Yeah, these are like overall streaming numbers, I believe here. So and also I think 8 is like Westworld and stuff like that.
Well,
so like again,
post the link in the private so I can see it. I'm not saying I don't believe you. I just want to see it.
Let's see here. Just let me actually. Oh my God, that was actually. Oh man, one sec here. Just I want to see if it's the right one here. Oh, actually, wait. Here's one right here. So like Euphoria. Okay, I actually, you know what? I take it back. You were actually kind of right on the Game of Thrones thing. It actually is #1 here. I was looking up some more sources there, but it turns out it was a different ranking there. But I don't know. I mean, okay.
Game of Thrones was huge.
I'm gonna eat the humble pie. All right, I got it. But stuff like Euphoria was able to like trail behind it pretty damn well. In fact, Euphoria is actually the second most watched show behind Game of Thrones according to Variety.
Yeah, Euphoria did. Yeah, Euphoria did gangbusters, 100%.
Yeah, because of
Zendaya numbers as well. Because I'm kind of curious about
Euphoria is pretty big, but what I'm trying to get at overall is that the mindset of where this company's going. Well, Mal, I'll ask you this. There's going to be growing pains, right? I mean, we're not like the next few years are going to be bumpy territory. I don't think it's going to be like immediate success stories at the gate. I mean, it's going to be a long, arduous process to get this company where it needs to be, where they want it to be at least.
Oh, no,
because
I completely agree.
The Puck News article is kind of going over, especially when it comes to DC Entertainment and other stuff, like trying to replicate the success of Disney Animation, trying to replicate the success of Marvel. That is no easy task. I mean, it's a very, 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 very difficult thing to do. It may be impossible to replicate it. That's the other thing too. I mean, I don't know, like, and I don't know. And again, I'm going to bring up this on. I just don't know if cheap is the way to succeed. Cheap is not what I think they need to be doing.
You have to look at so Zaslav's perspective is, how can he like manage budgets while still putting out content that is easily digestible and quick to manufacture. right? So like again, like the type if you looked at the Variety article, it's like what is a Discovery what's their biggest one, like Fixer Upper, like those kind of like cooking, those kind of shows are going to be easy to manufacture and produce and put out there. And putting those on HBO Max is going to be something that keep people on the app. I mean, Netflix literally just renewed Is It Cake for season 2. Yeah. It's a game show where you ask, is it cake? The people, they make cake based on, they make it look like real world items, and you have to look at it and go, is it cake? And it's like, I watched a couple episodes. It's not bad, but it's like, they're going to also go down that cheap route and also to try to compete with whatever's going to happen next. I mean, even, Hulu has got the new Kardashians on there. Like, oh my God, who cares? But they're trying to capture
junk food content, but it's good. It's junk food content that sells,
Well, that's true. It's very easily digestible, and they're just going to put it on in the background and they're just going to have it on there. I mean, like that's what E did so well, was just running these like like I said, bring up a schedule for MTV right now, and it's mostly all ridiculous because that's what MTV has become.
Actually, Matt, I want to ask you: do you actually ever watch that horrible MTV like Scream show? It was so bad.
No, I wanted to because I was intrigued by it, and then the reviews were not great.
This is the MTV channel schedule for tomorrow, or do you want to do the one for today?
Nothing.
Let me see.
Okay, so for Friday, on right now, ridiculousness. This is all like late night. Going into Saturday in the morning, it's ridiculousness.
Well, ridiculous.
Oh my God, it's all ridiculousness. What the hell?
It's crazy.
But they're showing Dodgeball and Billy Madison tomorrow.
Yeah, so movies at night. But for the entire afternoon, it's all ridiculousness. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
insane.
It's fucking ridiculous, right?
It is. But again, that's kind of where we find ourselves with the scenario is like, this is a kind of content that they use to fill the void, and it's cheap to make, and it's super cheap to make.
Hey, RJ, before I head out here, I want to recommend like one thing here. So like, since you have a Puck article, there's this really fantastic piece in there talking about this 2-part piece about how like Marvel operates and some of the ups and downs, but it's actually a really fantastic piece overall. Actually, I recommend you watch it, read it.
Yeah. Let me put the link to it. I'll check it out.
Mike, have you watched the Chucky TV show?
Yeah, no. What?
I have not seen the Chucky TV show. No.
I heard it's
really
okay.
Good. I really like it.
Wait, which show?
The Chucky TV show.
Oh, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Okay, I've heard that.
I was so pissed at Sci-Fi because they canceled Krypton. I was like, "Fuck you! I'm not watching. Never watching shit from you, motherfuckers."
Sci-Fi.
So, yeah, I was like,
I see. Okay. Yeah, but before I head out, have you guys actually seen the show Barry? It's so fucking good. It's like one of the best.
I know it's popular. I see it trended a couple of times on.
Yeah, no, that's like a lot of the shows that they're probably gonna like go after stuff like that.
But it's cheap to make though.
Yeah, they're cheap to make, but that's the stuff they're gonna be going for, for HBO Max.
Plus they film in LA, so it's like they get the tax credits of filming in LA.
What happened to Lethal Weapon 5 movie? It's gonna be on HBO Max.
I'm not sure that's gonna happen because Mel Gibson's attached to it. I don't know.
Mel Gibson
does anybody really care about Lethal Weapon 5?
Yes.
Well,
Diner finished before he passed away.
I was 16 when Lethal Weapon 4 came out, and that was the very first movie because I worked at a theater that summer that I got to do the early screening for because we had to screen our print, and all of us from work went to go watch it. And so I like that movie. It's not great. It's not Lethal Weapon.
I like
1 or 2. All 4?
All 4. I
understand that, but I don't know. I'm not really sure if that will get the green light.
It will happen because it wouldn't cost them that much money. If as I say, it's under 35 to 40 million for HBO.
It all depends on Mel Gibson's paycheck.
Well, Mel Gibson, look, here's the thing is I think Mel Gibson would do it for relatively on the cheaper side.
Actually, he respect Donner.
He's kind of like a lowbrow person right now because of all the stuff that's happened to him.
No, he's good. He's
kind of sobered up a little bit. I mean, he's still kind of crazy, but he's not as crazy as he was back in like the.
Say what you say about Mel. He's good. He's doing good. Listen, Donner's wife is she's gonna produce it, right?
Yeah,
I believe so. So if they get it made, I know Donner already finished the script before he passed away. So like, he's good. Mel's gonna direct it and star in it. Just do it. I mean, just do it fast before they get old enough. So like, I just want to see Lethal Weapon 5, man. And they've been saying that for a long time. I just want to see that shit. Hope it's good. And yeah. Other than that, that's
well, I mean, Mel Gibson is a fantastic director. So,
oh yes.
You know, like, but at the same time, you know, his directing style is nowhere near Richard Donner's.
Oh, no.
So Lethal Weapon 5 is going to be a lot more gritty, you know, which is fine with me. It's like,
fine.
You know, it's like cool, man. Well, I mean, I don't know yet. It's kind of like watching. It's like go back and watch the early Rambo movies, right? First Blood is a thriller. You know, it's a thriller. Like only one guy dies, and that's because like Rambo defended himself by throwing a rock. You know, and like that's it. But then it turns into this like.
Jet Li was in Lethal Weapon.
He what?
I remember, but
no, I was saying Rambo totally killed those cops that he ran off the road and their car exploded. Though.
Yeah.
He killed
in the first one. I forget that one.
Yeah,
I forget.
The first movie, I think he at least killed 3 cops.
Oh, okay. Well, in the second one, he killed a whole bunch of other people.
Oh,
because the second one was like an allegory for Nam, right? Well, he literally goes to, I think it was like Laos or something, you know, or it was Indonesia. I'm not too sure I forget where he goes in First Blood Part 2. But then Rambo 3, he goes to Afghanistan and fights, you know, and like fights with freedom fighters that were like the Taliban essentially. Because it was all like you know, oh dude, the patriotism from the 80s was crazy.
I remember seeing Jet in Lethal Weapon 4. He was good in there too.
Well, that was his first U.S. acting job. His first American film, yeah.
Yeah.
And
it was amazing what you did there. Unfortunately, he's dead in the movie.
Yeah, he got rebarred. If I recall, didn't he get like impaled with a rebar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Went through, yeah.
They got him at the. He was good in that one.
I put that thing in that article in the chat for you to read, RJ. Just link it up there. It's actually a really good read, and there's also another one about how that lawsuit against the heirs isn't going to really do much. He actually has it on a podcast. It's called The Town. It's like, is the Avengers going to be taken back? You know, stuff like that. But it really dives into like this whole like revert copyright thing. I know it's kind of off topic, but not a lot of people have been talking about it because it's kind of been a non-story, and you know it did kind of blow up when it happened back in late September. But yeah, no, it's a really good one. It's a great piece. I'd recommend you read it. And yeah, anyway, guys, thanks for having me, Jarbo. It's always fascinating to talk to you, and Caden, RJ, it's always great as well. Eddie,
thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome, and hope you guys have a good one. All right, chat, talk.
Yeah, me too. Bye, you too. No vemos. Bye. Nothing.
Oh, thank you, Fourth 1000 for a $5 super chat saying the original Rambo novel, he snaps and guts people, even children. That's why Troutman kills Rambo in the end.
Yeah.
In the book, Rambo dies, but in the original movie, he was gonna die, but they changed the scene.
Oh well, I mean, like, look, if he's killing children and like I get it, the whole flashback stuff, I get that. I actually wrote an outline for a movie, that would kind of be. Like, I want to make it one day, but the concept is that it's a group of college kids who go on a camping trip for the weekend for their survivalist class, and their teacher ends up like hitting his head, and has a flashback to Nam, and thinks that they're all Charlie, and so like they got to work together to try to like not get killed by this guy. And I wrote the outline for it, and I showed it to my friends, and they all loved it, and they want me to make. They would love to see it made, but I'm like, I don't know if I can make that movie.
Hey, maybe ask Zaslav. He will give you the money.
Well, I mean, I want to write Zaslav a letter and just pitch him my my Batman.
Your letters.
Oh, he totally would, but I just want to pitch him my Batman true crime show.
Oh my god, hey, that would be a lot of views on the HBO.
it's like
what is this? This is interesting. Okay, let me listen.
Well, what if it's like it's old Batman just telling his stories, you know? Old man Bruce. He's just sitting there and going like, you know, back in the day I fought a guy named Mr. Freeze. Let me tell you that banger of a story, the motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, well, let me ask you this, Jarbo. I know it's hard to predict these kind of things, but I mean, I don't think a 70. Like I think they're gonna spend at least $200 million on some movies. Let's be fair here. I don't
Yeah,
think it's all gonna be
Superman,
done.
Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. That's it.
Well, so I think
No,
some
I
characters inherently require higher budgets, though. It's kind of the thing. Some
Like
projects
who?
will require higher budgets,
Example?
but I think the question is going to be like, how do you measure what gets a big budget and what doesn't get a big budget? That's going to be the question that asks themselves.
By the star talent attached.
Look at the C-lister characters. It depends on what the C-listers or B-listers are for those characters.
It makes
It's
sense
all
to
about the
keep,
budget.
make the budgets bigger for franchises that can prove they can make the money.
Yeah.
If you start from scratch, obviously it's gonna be a lesser budget. But if you prove it and you had a great momentum and great box office and great word of mouth, people would be like, okay, well, let's up it to see if they can keep on, the same pace as the first film or something like that.
Well, look at Shazam. They made that movie very cheap. What, for like 80, 90 million? Something like that. I believe somebody could be in the chat. It made roughly 400 million, but that's the release date was fucked up on that. So, I mean, it depends on I'll blame Warner's for that one. Other than that, like, it depends on the characters on what they do. If it's an East lister or B lister, it depends on the budget and the actor too. I might say, if you get a huge actor, then the budget more likely balance of it. But
one of the things they can do, and they did this with Joker, and I don't think they're going to do it again.
No,
because the biggest problem with the Joker was that they split the financing.
Yeah.
And so they lost a lot of money out of that 1.08 billion or whatever that they made.
Fucking retarded.
Well, I mean, look, they didn't have any faith in it, so they said, "Screw it, we'll get a little bit out of this."
Emmerich didn't. Yeah.
So no, I don't think it was Emmerich. I think it was in play before him.
The movie came out. That cut cost on the Joker.
That would make sense because he came in.
Hamada was like, I think it was like $5 more million, and then Hamada took Hamada was going to take 10, and then
oh my God,
Todd and him
Jesus Christ,
converged to 5. So
they even tried to make a Deathstroke movie under 30 million, and they rejected that shit. Like, really?
Well, the thing is though, is what you need is a talented director who understands the property, who can shoot within the budget.
The Raid director.
Yeah, no, and the thing is that was a good choice. No. Yeah, that was a good choice.
And they said no. I was like, really? He said 30 million. 30. Warner Brothers is crazy. It's just crazy how they just rejected the idea. It would have made money for sure, but for 30 million to do a Deathstroke movie would have been crazy to see, especially with Joe say he was training and learning martial arts for that and stuff like that.
Well, I think it would have been better for them, if I'm being honest, to just follow the Deadpool route and spend 50 million on it.
Yep.
And call it a day. I mean, look, here's the thing is you have to look to see what the audience wants. The audience, look at Peacemaker. Peacemaker was a great example. They took a character that people didn't like in the movie and they made him a character people loved.
Oh, I hated his character.
Yeah, but do you hate his character now? Because I don't.
No, because
now I don't hate his character. I like him more in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, after the Flush Out story we saw on the TV show, I was like, okay, now it makes sense why he's like that. I was like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
For season 2.
And that's all they really have to do is just focus on telling those kind of stories. That's why I think there was that whole report about Todd Phillips, because Phillips understands at least how to tell contained stories, and I think he learned
that strategy isn't going to work for DC as a whole.
It's not going to work for DC. I agree.
I mean, I'm just saying, I would apply it maybe to a DC Black Label strategy, but I wouldn't do that overall for everything.
Well, I think that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to go connected.
They should create a Black Label.
I disagree though, because as I was talking about, he's been talking about being like Marvel structurally.
Sure,
right?
but
about organizational structure. I think they want the interconnectivity because it's what's been.
The Marvel. But you're. I think you're overreading into what he's saying there. He's talking about the vertical aspect of it, right? To oversee the television and movie and animation side of things. That's really what I think he wants. He wants to have each. Of course.
It's been proven though that interconnectivity makes more money because
that is true, but
there's a reason to watch every movie that comes out.
Well, yeah, because Marvel's been able to turn it into must-see TV. You know what I mean? Each movie is like a chapter in an overall story, so they've turned it into cable television, and it works out really well. The thing is, though, again, you have to look at it like this. Okay, what is the quickest pathway to get on track? And to a lot of people, they would say restore the Snyderverse, but that's not, because the money that again, that leads into a cul-de-sac. Even if JL 2 and 3 happen, that's still a cul-de-sac, right?
Well,
So
'cause it ends in a 5-movie arc. That's the whole
exactly,
thing,
and then
right?
it resets itself. It's like, okay, well, now we're back to square one, and that might have been how they wanted to handle the first leg of things when it comes to DC. But then they look at Marvel and they're like, shit, well, Marvel's been able to maintain this with a massive audience approval and
right.
everything else.
Right, and that's kind of the thing that it may be something that gets me into trouble a little bit. But I'll say this. Oh, go ahead.
Well, hold on. If nobody wants to take the job, then why would they ever bother to try to run it like that? Because they know it's already failed.
Well, it's not that no one wants the job; it's they're having a hard time finding that person, right? I mean, they're going to run it that way no matter what. That's the thing. They're going to run it that way no matter what. The question is who leads it. The Puck article basically said that there's a very, very, very small chance Hamada continues, but if he does, it would only be because they couldn't find anyone else.
Well, I mean, there is such a thing as failing upward, so there's that. And Hollywood loves to do that, And the reason why Hollywood loves to do that is it's not even that people fail upwards because they're incompetent.
Yes, he's here. He's here, finally.
What?
It can be a battle of the ages. Matt Turbo versus William.
With anybody. I just tuned into the show. I'm not listening.
What
I
up,
know,
dude?
I'm messing. What's up, man? What's up, William?
Gone. Troll J.
Yeah,
How you
we're
doing?
talking about business. This is like the William episode of MME Live. We're talking business.
I just jumped in. What's going on? I wasn't even
We're
listening
talking
to
about David Zaslav. We're talking about, because we read a Puck News article where they kind of dived into a lot of things about the strategy going forward. One of the big things that they said, William, in that Puck News article is that thus far, previously, here's the interesting tidbit, Matt. I didn't tell you this. They said back in 2015 through 2016, they were trying to get Kevin Feige, Louis D'Esposito, and Victoria Alonso to jump ship at different points. When Kevin Feige was having the inner struggle with Ike Perlmutter, that they were very close to getting him to jump over, but then Iger and Alan Horn worked things out with him to make him stay. But he almost jumped ship, which was really interesting.
I don't think he would have done it.
They were trying to not only court him, but at one point they tried getting Louis D'Esposito and other Marvel deputies, probably Victoria Alonso, at one point. But the interesting thing, William, that we were talking about is that they're mentioning that it's probably unlikely that Walter Hamada stays, which that's obvious. But the interesting, I'll bring it up again, actually, so you can read the exact quote from it, just to make sure we have it. Where is it? It's an article called Warner Brothers Goes All In on Disney by Matthew Baloney. And it talks about, let me bring it up. It talks about, where is it? Right here about the Disney thing, saying that Zazoff has been looking, but given Feige's stature in town and the inevitable comparisons between Marvel and DC, this is among the most thankless high-profile gigs in entertainment. So they're kind of like basically saying that right now Zazoff's having a hard time finding someone to fill the role to take over the DC.
I mean, but even like if you scroll up even more too, like to the very first paragraph of the last sentence, the whole.
Oh yeah. It says here. This one's obvious. Disney as Marvel. David Zaslav has decreed DC as Marvel. So it is. One producer texted me. It's kind of laughable. Sure, Marvel wasn't always Marvel, and until this unprecedented 50-year run, the DC characters were actually considered more commercial than the DC library. Marvel President Kevin Feige, who dozens of profitable movies in a row and always on assembly in theaters and on streaming, isn't exactly clonable. We know this because Warner's has tried already. So it kind of goes over the history of them trying to appoint a leader to be the Feige.
I got a problem when people say, well, they tried that already. When you try something wrong, that doesn't count. When you put a half-ass effort forward, I don't count that as far as, whether something can be successful going forward. Just because some other asshole did something wrong before and gave a quarter of an effort doesn't mean that another crew can't come in and give a legit effort and go forward. So I don't think that part of the article, I think that's, and I hear that a lot. People look to the past and they look to circumstances that have nothing to do with the current people, or they look at, they don't really look at the kind of effort that those people may have put in, and they say that it can't be done because they tried it before. No, if you half-ass something, I don't count that as an attempt. As far as him trying to find a Feige, listen, the situations that led to Kevin Feige are unique within Marvel and Disney in certain cases. What you really need to find, and I don't need to even know who he is. I don't need him or her to be a household name. Is somebody that understands the impact of DC's IPs and the expectations of DC's characters. I don't care if it's somebody who I know and heard of, or somebody who I vaguely know. If he knows how to get the full impact, and not just the movies and the TV shows, front to back, and connect all this to the point where it matters, that's what I need. I'm tired of hearing Feige's name in that sense. I know what they mean, but Zazoff needs a DC person, and he needs somebody who looks this IP up and down and makes its moves within DC.
Well, and this is kind of the thing that we were mentioning too, is that it's not just that you need a Feige person. I think that the thing is, Feige is not successful just because of himself. He has great people working under him.
Well, he's
Nate
back.
Moore,
He has
Victoria
good backing.
Alonso, Louis Desposito. Like, he has some great people working underneath him as well.
Yeah.
You need a great team. The question is, can they hire the right person who can assemble that team? Right? That's really the question of the day here, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think look, I know what William is saying there, like, the right people coming on board, but this is Hollywood. They're risk averse. If you fuck up once, you're done for 10 years, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. If they fail
on yourself too, these guys.
Yeah, but we're talking realistic here. We're talking realistically, like franchises. Look at Batman. Batman was 89, 92. And then it was Batman Forever, and everyone's like, okay, good movie. Then Batman and Robin in 97, and it tanked it until 2005. There was no Superman movie during the 90s at all, not until, from 89 to 2006. The companies are risk averse on that front. They have these characters, but if they can't crack that nut, they're not going to put the money in right now. And that's why they want to focus on smaller characters.
To a certain point, but you can't be so risk averted to the point where you can't meet expectations. And whether you like it or not, when you assume this throne, you assume all the expectations that come with it. And if you don't meet those expectations, then you're going to lose momentum. So they're going to have to.
Well, they've already lost momentum on DC side. They've already lost momentum. I mean, that's why maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. I've been saying this forever. Cancel everything, shut it down, wait 5 years and restart it. Keep the Batman because that's at least proven successful.
I don't even know if that is even sustainable because you got people on board that, like I said, the expectations.
Well, I mean, clearly, if Hamada steps down, if Zaslav looks to see who can oversee things from the perspective of what's been deemed "quote unquote" successful television, then he's gonna look at Berlanti as taking over potentially, and that would be nightmarish.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
But it's like, if the thing is,
that's the problem, though, William, that I wanted to ask you. Why is it that you think that they're having such a tough time finding the role? And like the assumption right now is that in Hollywood, this job is seen as like the most thankless gig and high.
I hear differently. I think it should be hard. I think filling this position should be hard, and I don't think it should be top ramen. I think they should. What they've probably done is they probably have gone out and hired a headhunter, and what he's probably done is he's laid out what he wants. What his investors want, what the expectations that they've mentioned that they've come in, and he's handed that dossier, that portfolio over to somebody who's going to find somebody that fills those needs. And then a lot of that stuff will happen without us knowing it until you start getting closer. It should be hard. It shouldn't just be throwing names at the ceiling and seeing what sticks. It should be somebody, when you interview these people, and to be honest with you, this is just me. I have no clout in the game. I have no skin in that game at that level. But my first question is to any candidate is, what are your plans? What do you plan to do? If I give you this job, what are you going to do? And I need somebody who is going to appreciate the Marvel structure, but not copy it. And that might take some time. I need somebody who can look within DC and push the buttons and not only meet the expectations, but make a connection with the geeks. Not just the 3%ers like me, but the general geek, so that he can lay out a path that just is consistent. And that might take a while, and it should take a while.
Well, they were saying, too, that because in the Puck News article, they also said that because the slate is booked for the next 2 years, that the impact of Zaslav won't start to be really felt until 2024 at the earliest.
Remember what we were saying, though, for about a year or so. Remember what I wanted them to do. I wanted them to not do some of the stupid stuff and some of the stuff that they were going
Well,
to
sadly,
do.
some of that stuff got pushed out the door, though. So
Yeah, and it was like somebody crapping on your carpet while you're moving out. You're crapping on the carpet for the guy moving in. I thought that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, you took the corner office, so he's going to have to work around that. He's going to have to be creative to work around.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and this is the question I've kept asking too. Does a movie like Black Adam, which by the way I'll share this real quick. This looks I'll be honest, like this promo art.
The guy who played the same character
This
in the
looks
movie.
awesome. This promo art of the characters. This
We're
looks.
Gonna get those posters.
I mean, this looks awesome.
This
looks great. I mean, this promo art, not wrong thing. I mean, this kind of promo art looks amazing. I mean, like, it looks cool, but my question is, like, does Black Adam and Flash and Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, do they even matter at this point?
Nope. It doesn't.
Because they're like they're a cul-de-sac at this point because like they're not leading to anything really.
This is a legitimate question because I remember you asked me this before. If they choose to make them meaningless, if they get the right people in place, they can look at all this stuff that's been laid out before them that maybe they had nothing to do with. Most of it they don't. And they can do the groundwork to make these relevant to either each other or to whatever realities they want. Establish what reality you want what so-and-so to be in, and then you take this time in between now and the Flash and create that connective tissue to whatever you want it to be. Don't wait for the Flash to come out, like I said, and try to hit a home run. Right now, in between now and the Flash, there should be base hits. There should be getting us excited to where the Flash is a culmination of that excitement. If we're just waiting around, for good luck to fall out of the sky, of course it's gonna fail. And it doesn't matter how good these movies are. If you don't lay the undercarriage for the atmosphere of excitement, making a good. I know people like, well, just make a good movie. Yeah, whatever. Making a good movie is like 25% of it.
Yeah, what I mean by do they matter is that based on what we know, that Zaslav is definitely coming in and cleaning house. Like, the whole point is that Black Adam, Shazam 2, they're connected and they're leading to a different narrative. Flash is meant to reset things. Is that resetting even matter at this point? Because it's leading to
I don't
a
even
dead
know
end.
if that reset is going to happen in the same. See, that's a hard question to answer because we're dealing with a different pilot now. If someone could come in and may reevaluate this whole thing, like your base question is, do these movies matter? It's up to the beholder. It's up to the planner now to look at this and
I mean, well, let me ask you this then. Then what are the chances that Zaslav says, don't worry about these movies, they're meaningless, worry about what we're doing in 2024 and beyond?
I think that's zero. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to work within these movies. I think there are.
But if your foundation, well, that's the case. Then if your foundation,
what is the foundation though?
Well, as I'm saying, like if there's no foundation because like the house is like falling apart, why not just tear the house down and build a new one from scratch?
You're not going to do that. All right, and there's no reason to do that. Listen, for good or bad, we have these movies, and some of them have a potential to create. Just like I said, when we walked out of No Way Home, what were we talking about? We were talking about the very next movie. You can do the groundwork that the previous regime was too lazy to do and make it so when I walk out of Black Adam, when I walk out of Shazam, I'm ready to jump into the next thing. There's things that they can do in between to create the foundation, to connect these loose things together, and then go from there. That's what they should be doing. And they're smarter than me.
The only thing I would say that they'd be smart to do is not go back to the drawing board per se, but if you have time to do reshoots, go super hard with the Flash reshoots to like whatever happens at the end of that movie, it resets things enough to where you have a better foundation going forward. Like maybe that's what I would think about doing.
That's why I think they're going. I don't think they're going to waste what's there. I mean, and some of the stuff could, like I said, if you got to get me not just excited about one movie, you got to get me excited about the entire atmosphere. That's how these movies make money. And you guys, I kind of heard before when I was trying to tune in about the shared universe thing. Listen, if he's about generating revenue, the shared universe is the way to do that. It's a proven model. Now, I'm not saying that they can't do standalones, but they cannot be in lieu of the shared universe. We can have. It's not an either or. You know what I mean? It's got to. There's a market and audience out there for both. But the shared universe, no matter who's doing it, and not just in movies, in comics, a shared universe is not a Marvel Comics thing. A shared universe is a comic book thing, and it's been that model for decades. That is the expectation, and
The general audience
you
doesn't
got to
know
meet the
that.
expectations, and you got to gamble a little bit. And like I said, certain things look stupid, but they might not look stupid when I sit down in front of them. But they're hitting the ground. They're jumping into a moving car while a reject is jumping out of that car. So I just want to give these guys enough space to not necessarily expect perfection right out of the door, because they just took
what
over.
is this?
So this is the Ankler article that also came out, right, Caden?
Yeah, so this is Toby and Mike's Shakespearean drama. It's about, so it's saying the ferments are trembling beneath our feet as the leadership of most of our studios is in play, potentially in play, or soon will be in play, or various strange reasons is in play. Today, the Zazquake continued to shake up Warner's, each new move bringing more questions than answers, with departures from the helm of one Toby Emmerich and the ascension of Michael DeLuca and his new co-head.
Right. Not to jump ahead, but just real quick, this is because Michael DeLuca used to work at New Line and got replaced by Toby Emmerich, correct? And now it's like coming full
Karma's
circle,
back.
where DeLuca is replacing Emmerich as the head of Warner Brothers Films.
And
right, it's kind of like
and
what's
down
talking
later
about.
in the article, it says that although that happened, there is no bad blood between Toby Emmerich and Mike. Like,
Are we
no
sure?
bad blood at all. Like,
Are we sure?
they're going to be holding Zaslov's hands to know how to make movies.
That was the other thing too. They said that Michael DeLuca and Toby Emmerich are kind of going to be hand holding Zaslav for a little bit because he is so inexperienced, which is kind of like the whole point of them being appointed at the roles that they're in.
Right. So many angles to be considered here, and the question: what is this new company will be? Remains elusive as ever. But before we get to that, it's really talking about basically Mike and like Bob Shea and New Line and Toby Emmerich's relationship. So that's like that, and then this is Mike DeLuca right here, Toby Emmerich right there.
Oh my God! Take that picture off.
Hey, listen, these guys, they work in the same shark pit.
Yeah. Anyway, eventually the day came when the brilliant but reckless golden boy went too far off the rails when he left the job. Then who stepped in to fill his shoes? But not one, Toby Emmerich. Fast forward 30 years to this week, and the wheels come full circle with Emmerich, 59 years old, stepping down, and Michael DeLuca, 56, stepping into his chair. Emmerich, having faithfully kept the cameras rolling through the upheaval of three corporate owners in 4 years, now stepped down as the golden boy, now middle-aged and gray, yet ascending.
Yeah, that's actually something that's important to note real quick. Like, this company's been sold and passed around so many times.
It's
crazy how many owners
years.
they've gone
Devalued, not just sold, devalued. Remember what the selling price was when AT&T bought it? Wasn't it like 70-something million? And it was 43 or 70 billion. And then by the time Discovery was able to buy it, it had been devalued to 43 billion. So that's not just being passed around. That's having limbs torn off as you're being passed around.
But yeah. Those who know them both say there's not bad blood between the two. DeLuca has spent decades plotting revenge. They are said to be perfectly cordial, but the turn shows how in Hollywood everything comes around eventually. Now, as the nature of film has evolved, the late Lil's upstart indie division in the corner has now sprung up to the seat of the power of itself. So my thoughts on the Warner's earthquake is, if there ever was a person who merits the label survivor, it was Emmerich during these past few years, riding the waves of Time Warner to AT&T, now Discovery, as part of the Troika with Kevin Tsuchihara and Sue Kroll through the Tsuchihara's waterside, weathering the John Stanky arrival and the Key Lark experiment, and then onto Discovery. Through it all, there haven't been 5 minutes when the studio was given clear sense from their corporate overlords of what its purpose was in the grand scheme and whether any of their jobs would exist 18 months down the line. Most didn't. Such has been the turmoil that I don't think a week has gone by in these years that a rumor hasn't broken loose that Toby was out. I've been told that he was packing up his office, and then that he announced to the staff that that was his last day. Every variation on the rumor came down, and he's soldiered on as the film division's fortune sank and rose depending on the weather, plague warnings permitting. So much had the Toby's out talk become wallpaper that more than a few had trouble believing today that the end actually came. After the
That sounds
disbelief
like a
faded,
movie.
So wait a minute. The guy's name was John Stanky.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, he stinks. He
I
stinks.
imagine he got a lot of shit when he was a kid.
Yeah, he
probably.
stinks. Yeah, he stinks. Yeah.
John Stanky is stinking.
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was
So
also
I
garbage.
mean, so what does this really mean, Caden? Like, what does this
Well,
actually?
it's just saying that out of the whole thing, Toby Emmerich has survived a whole lot, and is looked at as this person who knows how to go through mergers, being sold, and different bosses, and knows like how everyone works. Has experience working with a lot of people. Working with Kilar, who was the streaming experiment, working with Sujihara, working with John Stanky, working with Sue Kroll, working, now with Mike DeLuca again, and
He
working
blamed
with
Kilar.
also working with now David Zaslav. It's like those punches and those hugs give you a lot of strength, and that's what he's warranted from this.
So basically, they're saying he's like a steady hand that even though he's left, kinda, they will be still looking to him somewhat for advice. Is that what kind of the takeaway is? Okay.
After the disbelief faded, the most common reaction today was seeing hidden hand of one Brian Lord behind it all. Lord, it is said, likely by Lord himself, has become Zaslav's leading confidant. Ari wedding guest notwithstanding, Lord has been a Luca ally since the beginning of time. It was instrumental in bringing him together with Amy Pascal at Sony, and then brokering his installation at MGM. Observers caution to look amid the further franchisation of Warner's titles as Zaslav go, where there are a flurry of CAA projects suddenly leak into production at once.
So the real question, I guess, that has to be asked is that because Emmerich took this production deal, he's still going to exist in that ecosystem. How much input is he really going to sort of have? Is the real question.
Not zero.
It's not zero. I mean, that's the
it's gonna be
thing. It's
more
going to
than-
be something,
it's
but
gonna
like
be
how
more than
minimized
50.
is it?
Oh,
He's
I
not-
got
He will have
40%.
influence. He will have influence. Because to be honest with you, listen, I know it's fun to make fun of Toby Emmerich and to come to an understanding. I never thought he
It
was
is funny.
the right fit. Same thing with Hamada. There's nothing personal with these guys. These guys have done work. It just gets to a point where they weren't a fit for the mission. They'll have influence, but they won't be the final decision makers. I mean, if you got
No.
people with 30, 40 years of experience in the business, you keep them around. Do you necessarily want them running things? That's the difference. Having a conciliere and having and being the capo or being the boss, it's three different things. He'll be a conciliere, and if people are wise, some of the stuff he'll say they'll listen to. But as far as a head decision making, I think he was around a long time because there was no stable leadership above him. I think that article really pretty much exemplifies how you can stay around. Like, some people who are not meant for certain things can stick around a lot longer and fall between the cracks because leadership after leadership really never had a hold on things. You have a guy now that came in with a plan, and he's just not part of that plan as far as that position goes. Doesn't mean they hate each other. And even if they cross each other in the past, I've always said this: all bridges must remain fireproof, because you never know who you're going to be working with. When you have a good idea, and the guy who replaced you may be in the atmosphere, and he may be like, you know what, this guy knows production people, this guy knows financials, let's get together. You never paint yourself into a corner where you can't negotiate out of. So they're always going to be playing golf together. They're always going to have respect for each other. This article is, to me, is just saying that, that they respect each other, and, they're working in a fragile ecosystem where they know they'll have to work together again. But as far as him having any input, he'll have input. And I'm pretty sure Zazoff would listen to him to a certain extent. But that's the difference between him having input and him running shit. He was running.
Well, Matt, you've been awfully quiet. I can assume that's only because either you're thinking or you're bored. So I'll ask you. I mean, like, what's your analysis of like Emmerich leaving specifically in regards to like what that actually means?
I don't know. I mean, it can go a multitude of different ways. I think he's going to clearly have, because he's not out until the end of the summer. So he's going to be leaving about the time his contract would have been up anyway, up for renewal. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and he's taking this production deal. So
Yeah, and he's taking this production deal, and it's possible that Zaslav is just like, throwing him a bone to keep him around while allowing Toby to do, because Toby wants to produce. We know this, so he wants to create. He wants to get back into the mix of it. I think he'll probably do what he can to help guide Zaslav, but I think it's more about DeLuca, to be fair. Is going to be helping out quite a bit with that one. And I mean, at the end of the day, who knows what's going to happen? The company could end up getting sold again down the road. I mean, they're gonna Zaslav says.
Well, the hope is that it doesn't. I mean, that's the hope.
Well, the hope, yeah, sure, but like, I mean, come on, like, look, you guys don't. William might remember this. Other people probably don't. It's like Warner Brothers had the top market share for literal years. They would put out multiple movies a month, every single year. And that's what Zaslav wants to get back to. He's like, I want to do 25, 30 movies a year or something like that. And that's literally like one a week almost, So obviously he's going to want to flood the market with these movies, because if they're low budget enough and one of them hits, starts paying for the other ones, which is the micro budget angle that a lot of the smaller indie, when they had the indie sides of some of those companies, like Paramount Vantage and Sony Classics and, Warner Independent, things like that. That's the micro budget stuff. And I have a feeling that's what Zaslav wants to get back to, because he probably feels that large budgets aren't going to produce what they need, which is a sustained income stream versus like maybe gambling, which is why I think they want to focus on like maybe smaller one-off shots with these DC films. Very, very similar, very character driven, that can do well and have a mid-range budget. But again, those don't really lend themselves to a continuation of a shared universe, because as we've learned, as the more those universes become shared, guess what happens? The budget goes up, right? Everyone's all like, oh, Snyder Cut did well. Snyder Cut might have, but it still wasn't profitable because the cost in that thing was astronomical. Anything going forward would be considered astronomical, and they simply do not have the capital to back it up right now. Marvel took a gamble with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, a massive gamble. And if it didn't pay off,
Didn't they spend 400?
They spent about $1 billion.
It was $1
between
billion
both
for
movies.
both movies. Yeah, production cost and marketing.
Because, well, it was because production, marketing, and cost of the actors.
Well, yeah, the actors especially added up.
I mean,
costs.
but didn't Robert get paid like 80 million or 60?
Well, Robert's contract got renegotiated after Age of Ultron, because remember that was a big disputing point between Feige and Perlmutter. Perlmutter didn't think Downey Jr. was worth the money.
He was also
Feige
cheap.
did.
He was cheap.
Well,
too.
Perlmutter was cheap. He was also sexist and racist too. So I mean, it was going to get out of there. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the budgetary concerns is like the biggest thing, because like that's kind of like why I made the thumbnail I did. It's like, is Zaslav too cheap to succeed? Because his mindset of being very cheap and minimizing budgets doesn't apply to everything, right? And the thing is he so cheap and so profit hungry that it's kind of going to distract from making quality entertainment? Because the goal should be to make great entertainment that makes a lot of money. That should be the goal.
again, the goal, RJ, you're completely overlooking like the key factor here. The goal is the stock price.
Well,
the goal is the stock price.
Up by making great stuff that makes a lot of money.
No, you get the stock price up by making things that are profitable. Profitable doesn't always mean great. And I think we need to start looking at it from that perspective. All right. Like, obviously they're going to want to shit out content and hope that it sticks. That's what we're going to see. That's what Zaslav knows. And this is what I've been saying forever. And it's like, the conversation surrounding this keeps going back to like, well, all they got to do is make good content. And that's, it's much easier said than done. They don't have a steady hand. They haven't had a steady hand in a long time. I don't think they're going to have one for a while. We're talking 2 to 5 years to get somebody in there to really kind of set it, lock it. It could be James Gunn. Who knows? Maybe they're talking to James Gunn. They'll give him whatever he wants to come in and be an overseer for that for right now. Who knows? They might.
I don't think it'll take that long though.
Well, I'm telling, but I stand by my theory. Cancel it all, literally, and then focus on animation. Because you'll
Why
never
animation, though?
because
I don't understand
animation. Okay, animation is far cheaper than doing theatrical. You can contract the voice actors for multiple films, or it's not going to cost you as much. I mean, do you know that there are 5 or 6 of those Tinkerbell movies that Disney put out? 5 or 6 of those things, right?
There's a few of them, yeah.
My daughter loves them. They're terrible, but my daughter loves them. Those movies have a budget of around $30 million for those animated films.
Siblings cried at the Beast one or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
Man,
They
that
were
was not
crying.
so
They're
bad.
like, oh my god! They're like, oh my god!
The pirate one's actually pretty good, but that's Tom Hiddleston as Hook.
But the thing is, though, Matt, is that couldn't be argued that while animation is obviously something they want to pursue and they should pursue, the big bucks go to live action productions, though, because that's like what the general public's more interested in.
Really? I mean, like if Pixar films cross $1 billion, not a problem.
Not all the time, though. Not all the time.
Not all the time. Well, and that's the thing. That's Pixar. Okay, sure.
Well, Pixar is a brand. Like Pixar could make anything.
People will go, but well, again, you got what I'm talking about here is niching down. All right, all indicators at this moment in time seriously point to just niching down. All right, they spread themselves too thin because DC television isn't overseen by Hamada. That was why Berlanti was able to go and run a rampant with all those shows and delineate the brand, and in many ways delineate the brand. We know that comic books.
So you think the CW shows actually hurt the DC brand a little bit?
Dude, 100%. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Are you kidding? Don't get me wrong. Flash seasons 1, 2, and I think in part of 3, at least seasons 1 and 2 were epic. Those are great. But then after that, they added Legends of Tomorrow. They added Black Lightning, which was set in a completely different universe. They had to merge over Supergirl, which started to, they cut the budget exponentially by moving it from an LA. No, that's Berlin. Well, no, because Berlin. No, but the thing is, they shot the first season of Supergirl in Los Angeles, which does have a much larger.
Yeah.
See. Okay. No. Yeah. These shows are produced through a company, and those company then sell those shows to the network.
Well, I know that for sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So it's like CBS was able to put up more money, and here's the thing though, is the viewership for Supergirl season 1 was basically the lowest CBS had, right?
12 million something.
But
something like.
It wasn't. But the thing is though, but the highest amount of viewership CW gets is like 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So them bringing over that was actually probably better for them in the long run. But it's still
has been 1.5K.
1.5 million.
Yeah. K.
Yeah.
Thousand.
Wait, what?
That's like a town.
Yeah.
I don't.
Where'd you get the
though.
Where'd you get the 1,500 from?
It was a show that like no one was watching.
Oh, Supergirl?
No, it was another show.
Batgirl?
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about
This was
Supergirl. I'm like, I don't remember it being that low.
No. It was like a show that got canceled after one season.
Oh, yeah. So, if anyone remembers Fox back in the early 2000s, there were some shows that lasted like literally 3 episodes. There was a show.
Oh my god.
There was a show called Drive. Anyone remember that one? Drive. It had like Nathan Fillion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had 3 episodes and they canceled it.
That network screwed him twice because Firefly not only got aired, it got cut, but it got aired out of order and then it got canceled. And a lot of people didn't even know about that show until Serenity came out because Universal put it out. Fox was the only thing that could stay on Fox. It was X-Files, The Simpsons, and football and NASCAR. It was
somebody on Twitter.
Well, American Dad lasted a long ass time.
Yeah, the cartoon stuff does, but like Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles, man.
Well, that got what 3 seasons out of that thing.
Yeah, but they left it on the worst cliffhanger that you could possibly cancel a series on. So
why had that? They should bring the show back because where they haven't.
It's water under the bridge now. Listen. When it comes to Zaslav, I think there are certain things he's obviously going to have to cut costs on, but I also think there's going to be a set of priorities that he cannot skimp on. I think in order to get the money to those priorities, you're going to see some things cut. You're going to see some dumb ideas never happen, Wonder Twins. But I think when it comes to the big howitzers, the big cannons, the money will be spent there because that's where the expectations are. But there will be a downsizing of things. We're not going to see a lot of these experimental things, Like I said, I think, and people can say whatever they want, as Zaslav had been in place the last 2 years, there would be no Batgirl film. There would have never been a Wonder Twins even mentioned. You would have got laughed out of the office.
I mean, she would have been paralyzed in the Ben Affleck movie.
You know, and even still, some of these B's and C's would have been sacrificed so that the alphas could breathe and get the money that they need in order to make the money that they want. What DC has done, like I said, the last 5 to 7 years has given us everything but the A product, and there's been no structure there, and they wasted a lot of money. I mean, like that article. I don't know if you brought up the article before, but how upset they were about how Superman has been languished. We spent money on all this other.
Oh yeah. That was the Variety article that announced that DC was going to be restructuring. One of the biggest things Zazoff said was that Superman has been left to languish, and they haven't been moving forward on anything. And that's been one of the biggest things he sees as like one of the biggest mistakes they've made.
Well, it's entirely possible. Like I've said, I think that has more to do with Henry Cavill's representation than I think anything else. To be fair,
just pay the man the money and just make something already. I mean, goddamn,
I would rather them cut some of this lint, some of this nonsense that they were developing, and start. Whether they start over or not, I recommend that they don't start over, but it's not my billions. But whatever you do, it's got to be with the big guns first. All right, start generating that revenue with them. And if the situation leads you to these other situations and they become financially feasible, then go for them. But don't give me these sidecar characters first and tell me you're going to spend $70 million on some BS and you haven't spent a dime on a Superman yet. On priorities. So you know what? Cut the fat and get to the meat. But when you get to that meat, don't be giving me some Kmart pick and save version of an alpha character. Cut that other stuff so that you can push that money, to the priority projects. I'm okay with that. I would rather have less and more quality when it comes to DC. But remember, we're only talking about the DC he's running a whole company, so he's got to be putting out money, with stuff at all throughout his entire system. But when it comes to the DC content, I would rather have the big guns going and see where that leads than a bunch of stuff that, the previous regime left us that probably should have been on the cutting room floor at concept stage.
Well, I think what's going to happen is what he's going to do is he's going to cut a lot of the chaff, from Warner Brothers and HBO and
Why
HBO
hasn't
Max.
cut the CW?
They did. They canceled Riverdale. The only thing they renewed was, or
why are they making Gotham Knights?
It's going to be canceled. It's going to be canceled after one season.
Walter Amano was the one who greenlighted. That's why.
But Zaslav's in charge. He could get rid of it right now.
The crazy thing is that they canceled Batwoman Legends for that show.
I'm gonna tell you the
got rid
reason
of Legends
why.
of Tomorrow, which ended on a
the reason
cliffhanger.
why-
Only one more season to wrap everything up, but you gave
The
Gotham
reason
Knights
why
green light.
they
Like, why?
canceled Batwoman and Legends is because the CW didn't want to pay for the IP, especially because the IP.
They
IP
didn't want to
Batman
release the
was
studios
expensive.
anymore.
And they didn't want to release the shit, which I was like, what the fuck? Like,
There's
Legends
no
was
money.
like,
There's no money in the
weird.
CW. It really.
But then why make Gotham Knights?
There's no money in the CW, but the money does come from the streaming and the DVD sales, things like that.
Have you guys seen the Gotham Knights trailer?
Yes, it's terrible.
Yes, it's terrible. I'll be honest. The only thing I like in the trailer was the Kelly go, and that's it. Other than that shit is trash.
Also, I'm saying, like, why make that?
I don't.
Like, what is the point of
listen,
making that?
I-
Why are you going to dilute the
So you heard the
story
story
anymore?
the story was that WB gave Legends, so you can use the Booster Gold, but they didn't know that the show was going to get canceled.
I don't know. Is Gotham Knights the kind of
It's
show you want to
fucking-
watch, Turbo?
No.
Oh God, no. I saw the pilot episode of Batwoman. Went like, yeah, it's okay, but I had no desire to continue with it.
You know what's crazy? Like the action in that show was okay. That wasn't bad. That's it. Because it's cheap to do action stuff.
Yeah, well, it's the thing is, again, like they kind of we have to stop even really talking about CW because it's no longer part of the equation. They're going to sell it to Nexstar. Gotham Knights is going to be dead after one season. I think The Flash is going to get canceled before the end of this upcoming season.
No.
Well, Flash, they're going to give a proper ending to it.
I think they'll give a proper ending to it and then maybe find a way to bring him into the Flash
Grant
movie.
is
But
pay $250,000 per episode next season.
It's pretty obvious. So this next season of
Jesus,
Flash,
yeah.
season 9's the last season.
Oh, yeah.
like,
Oh,
they're
100%.
gonna-
Yeah.
They're probably, my prediction for that is they're going to have the Flash go off, be older, Barry, had 2 kids, and that's it, like the comments. Other than that, that's it. That's what's going to happen. And then mostly, what's his left? Stargirl, the Jeff Johns show? That's what left?
That can be rolled in HBO Max.
That's going to go to HBO Max.
Well, that was already HBO Max anyway. I mean, it was a split.
Same with Supergirl and Lois. Sorry, Superman and Lois. That can be
That's going to get canceled after the season, I guarantee.
I think Superman and Lois is going to move to HBO Max. That's what
Well, it's going to move. What I mean is, like, I think it's going to go there, but again, I think it's going to die. I think.
Well, they already. It's for sure getting a 3rd season.
It's filming like in like 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
it's like,
That's a victory.
I'm not saying they're going to cancel it right now. I mean, they're going to probably like, like those shows are all of those shows just kill them, every single one of them. And to go back to the animation thing, because I know it was like, but look at the popularity of the DCAU. Okay, just think about that.
Bruce Timm.
The Bruce Timm stuff. You go and they got the new Bruce Timm show, the Cape Crusader show, right? You find a way to bring in Bruce Timm to kind of oversee the construction of the universe.
I would get Paul Dini too.
Fine, you bring all of those guys back who helped manufacture
the
Batman the animated series, Superman, Justice League, those shows that are iconic to DC. Those shows are more iconic to DC, I think, to the ground level of the fans than the movies are. I really do, because those set the baseline. You bring those back, you hype those up, you find an actor who's similar to Kevin Conroy, or you just use digital technology to recreate the man's voice.
Like they were Vader.
I got a question, Matt. I got a question. And here's where I think that sounds like something they should be doing. I don't think that's something that can be the bones of what they're doing, because the revenue generation of that is the revenue generation. What their, once again, expectations. Will DC Animation bring in the revenue expectations of what these live actions are doing?
It could. Well, and I'll put it to here's going to be a good litmus test for that. If DC League of Super Pets does well, that will be a litmus test.
When you say what number? Throw me out a number you think.
I mean, like, dude, it's The Rock. So 400 million seems like a good kind of top off point. But I can see.
You crazy?
I don't think Superman's gonna make 400 million. There's no way.
Oh, really? You think it's gonna do less than that? Yeah, maybe.
Well, hold on. What's the budget?
I say 50.
Hold on. Let me look it up. What's the budget?
The budget don't mean shit. People don't want to go to it. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but like when we compare about like how much.
Well, 400 million is good for animation, but look like Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse, it cost 90 million to make, and it pulled in roughly 400. But these guys are looking at, I'm not agreeing with these standards, but these guys are looking at 750 to and up as far as what they want to pull.
Well, but the thing with Into the Spider-Verse though, the Into the Spider-Verse was up against Bumblebee, Mary Poppins, and Aquaman. And it wasn't a like Peter Parker led Spider-Man movie. If Into the Spider-Verse would have been a Peter Parker led Spider-Man movie, it would be a completely different conversation. Right. But the fact that the movie went on to go and win Best Animated Feature over a Pixar movie and then blew up on Netflix when it hit streaming a few months later, the sequel is going to do very, very, very well, like very well. So I'm not worried about that. And if they took that concept of it,
there's no way. There's no way. Okay, I don't trust this website, but this is like the only thing I found. They're saying the budget for League of Super Pets is 130 million.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well,
which is the second most expensive film by Warner Animation Group.
What side are you looking at? Because that does sound a little.
Well, hold on here.
Mimic?
The Rock is the highest paid actor. Even he'll probably get 20 million up front.
I've never seen this website before. That's why I'm saying I don't know.
Well,
but they're saying like, according to a verifiable source, the production budget for Warner Bros. Animation DC League Super Pets 130 million. The second most expensive film by Warner Animation Group with Space Jam: New Legacy at 150 million. But DC League Super Pets is the third biggest investment in Warner Brothers Pictures in 2022, after Secrets of Dumbledore at 200 million and The Batman at 185 million.
Oh my! No, but
I got to see that. I'm not saying that that's not true, but I got to see it somewhere else.
I need to see the source. That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to see the source of this.
But Forbes say that the budget was 20 million, so I don't know.
Wait, did Forbes say that? Because I'm looking. I don't see it.
What did Forbes say?
I say 52 million globally on a $10 million budget, but it would be. I don't. I say it's. I don't know what would be the budget for Super Bad.
Let's see. It's got. Hold on. It's got Kevin Hart, Dwayne Johnson, Kate McKinnon, John. You got some big names. I'm not.
Yeah, you got some big names.
Keanu Reeves is in it.
Yeah, that's big.
150 million.
Yeah,
because that's the thing is that's what The Rock charges. That's what The Rock costs.
Yeah, for failure.
Like I've pointed out multiple times, The Rock does not bring in the money that people think that he does. There's just, you can look at his standalone non-franchise movies, and you can see that they pulled in roughly around 400 million.
I saw the one.
Yeah, the budget's kind of we don't know the budget for sure.
Sure, we don't know, but okay.
It's anywhere from 20 to 130 million, which is a lot. That's a very big window.
That's an ocean of possibilities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's really no verifiable. It's either 130 or like 20 million. So
answer to your question of why DC and Warner Brothers is where they at. If they spent 150 on that, that's not good. That's not good budgeting. That's not good decision making for something.
Because they got all the celebrities, man. All the celebrities cost money to get the voice act.
I'm not going to see any of these people. They're cartoons. Did I need Kevin Hart in there?
I would say though, I trust Scott Mendelson. I think Scott Mendelson's probably closer when he's saying about like 20 to 50 million. I could buy 20 to 50 million.
I would even go far if it approached 80. I'm fine with that because I'm guessing this movie. I'm just going to guess 400 million, maybe, which means you made 3 times plus whatever production budget. But remember, these production budgets are subjective. Lately, these last couple of days, I've been hearing some people who should know better spout off some numbers about production budgets, and I'm like, are you out of your mind? I mean,
give us names.
100 million, 150 million on budgeting. I'm like, are you serious? Morbius. Trust me, I wanted more from Morbius. When we were on the conference
Morbius is a flop. Oh my God.
We got crumbs for Morbius. So as horrible as everybody wants to say Morbius, and you're subjective, that is up to you.
It's a flop.
As far as what it made or what its probability goes, when I hear people say, "Well, Morbius had a advertising budget of 100 million," are you sniffing pure cane off of the table? There's no way in hell that movie had that kind of budget. No way that movie had that kind of budget.
Anyways, the movie was a flop.
Yeah, but that's great. And there's a lot of trash movies that come out there that do blow up a lot of budget. Listen, The Suicide Squad, and Harley Quinn, those 2 movies had a massive budget. Now that's where you get into trouble because those movies didn't really make money.
They both flop.
But a $75 million to $83 million movie, they didn't drop $100 to $150 million on
the loss they take isn't as bad. I mean,
what's up?
I'm saying if your budget's low enough, the loss you would take on a movie like that, like a Morbius, wouldn't be nearly as bad.
Well, greedy ass Sony though listen. They already had hoarded themselves out to 2 streaming services before the movie even hit the screen. So who knows how much those deals were? Plus, you only spent $75 million.
The Amazing Spider-Man is on Netflix now. And it's
because Sony doesn't want to make their own streaming service. They can license up their content for loads of money.
They're like a pimp. All you got.
And that's exactly what Zaslav's going to do as well by licensing out some of these other shows to higher paying vendors like Apple TV Plus with the Speed Racer.
I don't think that's smart though. I would put Speed Racer on HBO Max.
RJ, again, what you here's the thing. If you're looking at this completely wrong. All right.
Why is that wrong though? You need to grow HBO Max.
You need to but is Speed Racer going to grow HBO Max? No, probably not.
I think it would.
The movie didn't grow Warner Brothers at all back when it came out in 2008.
I'm saying,
never mind, it's a masterpiece.
If you do a high budget Speed Racer live action show and you do it correctly, that could be a big.
What is a masterpiece?
I think again, like when you start the Speed Racer from 2008, and I want to hear it. That's a great movie, man. That movie is like Kino.
The show will be better.
The show won't. No, the show's going to be completely different. You won't have John Goodman. All right, like the
Bring
fuck.
him back as an old man.
Okay.
What?
I don't know. I don't know. Anthony
My
says
point,
things.
my point being though is
No,
that
I'm
a speed racer show, any kind of IP material, you need on HBO Max. That's an IP. that
Here's
you
the
can
thing,
have
though.
HBO Max to
But
grow that service.
they need to stop mining IPs. They need to stop just going
Mining
back to the
IPs
old.
is how you make money, though.
No, it's not really. Not all the time. If it's not done well, people aren't going to care. They've mined the hell out of the DC IPs for television, and they can't pull in more than 1.5 million viewers an episode. Right? They continuously made bad choices on this front. But Warner Brothers services television to every studio in town, to every network in town. The Big Bang Theory, CBS, produced through Warner Brothers. Had $1 billion streaming rights, $1 billion for the syndication rights. That show is a moneymaker until the end of time.
And they kept it on their own networks. It's on
A
TBS.
female-led speed racer. Don't do that.
All I'm saying is like, the thing is, RJ, is like Warner Brothers, it's like they will license stuff out to a multitude of other companies because that is where a lot of the other cash comes from.
What is going on with the Spawn movie? I thought it was going to do it for HBO.
I would love to see Todd McFarlane come back and actually do the Spawn film, but I don't see it happening. I think they should,
problem
again.
is he wants to do it. He wants to run the whole show, and he's not
Yeah.
doing it.
He wants to write it. He wants to direct it. He wants to do all of it.
And that's where I think, again, going back to what was Spawn popular for back in the 90s. The comic, the toys. Oh, yeah, in the HBO animated series. Just give us more animation. Just do animation. It's big right now. Look, Netflix has got the
people
corner.
want to see stuff brought to life, though.
People, not really. No.
Yes.
If it's done well, they're fine with it either way. All right. Like, here's the thing: look at Into the Spider-Verse. The animation that the technology that they made for that, perfect. You don't need to have it in live action. The fact that in the first Lego movie they were able to create, what they were able to create in regards to turning the Lego bricks into something that looked realistic. Right? You couldn't do that live action stuff. It would look terrible if it was a mixture of live action and CGI that was combined. You don't need. We're past that. Look at the Unreal Engine. Look at what Unity can do. We are past the need for everything being in live action. If you have a compelling story and good voice acting, which again is something they're even moving away from because all they have to do now is just buy all these named actors, right? Like, fuck me, Awkwafina cannot act. But they sure as hell put her in the bad guys and you know, Raya.
And Shang-Chi.
Raya, the Last Dragon, you mean?
Yeah, you know, and it's like she was just kind of like she was just playing Awkwafina. She wasn't playing it.
Aquafina was big.
I like
though.
her
I
in
mean,
Shang-Chi.
she brought on the money.
She's good in Shang-Chi.
I didn't say anything bad
But now
about Shang-Chi.
isn't she Scuttle in Little Mermaid?
Yeah,
now?
she is.
She's
Yeah.
in Little Mermaid too. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, okay, so it's just going to be Awkwafina being Awkwafina, but now a Scuttle.
Just
That's
like
the
The
whole
Rock
point.
always be The Rock.
Exactly. They're afraid of bringing in voice talent when back in the day, you know, like who voiced the Little Mermaid back in the movie?
Jodie Benson.
Exactly. If it would have been made now, it would have been made the animated movie. I'm not talking the live
Would
action
have been
shit.
Madonna.
It would have been Madonna. It would have been like Ariana
Gaga.
Grande in the
Ariana
role
Grande, yeah.
right now. Kind of maybe Jojo Siwa. Who knows what it might have been if they were doing the animated film right now, because they rely more on the name. Like Anthony Mackie said it best, like, you know, like he said it, there are no more movie stars, and he's right. But Hollywood
except for
hasn't
Tom
quite caught
Cruise.
on to that yet.
Well, except for Tom Cruise and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, you have your
last
DiCaprio
two.
hasn't done much really.
DiCaprio hasn't done shit.
Well, I'm saying if you're talking about movie stars, there's only 2 left in Hollywood. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, or
He hasn't
3
done
left.
shit.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
The last
Denzel
thing
Washington.
DiCaprio was in was like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep,
That was 3 years ago.
And then he's not. And then he's going to be in the
selecting
Apple TV
projects
Plus.
when they come out, people
or
pay
can-
attention. Is my
yeah.
point. There's only 3 left: Leo,
Well, he's doing the
Denzel,
Apple project.
No,
Leo,
no, not even
Denzel.
Denzel. What are you talking about?
Leo, Denzel, Tom
Oh my
Cruise.
God!
That's the last
Not
one.
even, dude. Not
Hey.
even, man.
Denzel drew for Equalizer 2, which I thought was impossible.
Hey, did you hear? Did you hear though? Equalizer 3 is on
Oh, they are
the
making
docket.
Equalizer 3, yeah.
Because
So, and I
otherwise-
like the Equalizer movie, so I'm down with that. But it's
What about
like
the
again,
TV show?
fuck that shit.
Ah,
It's
yeah, that
canon.
shit sucks.
It's canon.
Yeah, I know, but I just anything with Jada Pinkett Smith, man, I just can't do. I'm sorry. She's
Jada
completely
Pinkett's not
sullied
bad.
for me now. But
No, Jada
probably
Pinkett's not an
gonna-
Equalizer.
she's
That's
gonna
Queen Latifah.
no, but Jada Pinkett popped up in this last season.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
was
but
in
that's
that
not that
episode.
bad. She wasn't that bad.
I don't know. But yeah,
Did
I
you
mean, this
hear
has, been,
about?
this has been an interesting conversation. I mean, let me ask you, Jarbo, as we like, this will be like the last question I ask before we end things. Are you optimistic for the David Zaslav era?
Yes and no. So like, yeah, because I'm very curious to see how a spendthrift is going to run a streaming studio when when we're looking at Netflix having all the problems that Netflix is having. Is he going to be able to actually like course correct the studio and bring in the right talent to create the right kind of movies? I think what he's going to do is probably look at like what maybe, and again, this is going to be, if he's listening to Emmerich and to Luca, it's entirely possible that they're going to go back to what New Line did, focus on smaller, lower budget movies that can have an impact. And if they looked at New Line, the biggest impact out of that is horror, And I mean, look at what's happened with the Conjuring universe. They've done very well with that. So I think that's going to be their primary focus, if you want my honest opinion. And maybe some comedies to kind of revitalize that genre, which has largely been languishing, and a lot of a bunch of company stuff. I don't know. I mean, I just don't see him doing a lot of franchise stuff outside of creating the verticals that he wants to make, and hopefully they'll get the right people.
Anthony, are you optimistic for the David Zaslav era? How you feeling about it thus far?
I'm in a meadow. I mean, I hope he do great in the future and bring up the company on top like he used to be. I agree with what he said on everything. He's gonna start cheap, but then when he be on top, he probably will spend the big money. I just want to see another Superman movie with Henry Cavill, not the JJ movie. Cancel that shit ASAP. And give me the Valzat series.
I don't think that Tony Scott's movie.
Yeah, that's $200 million. He ain't doing that. And give me the Valzat series or movie, whatever you want to do.
I don't think that's gonna happen either.
You're gonna see that either. Sorry.
God damn it.
Probably not getting a lot of stuff that's been rumored the last year or two.
I know he had 2 DC projects in the work. I forgot the other one.
This is just League's Dark stuff, which I still think he might focus on a little bit, but we'll see.
That ain't happening.
That's done too.
That's done too. That's $200 million. That's no way. Zazlov's not spending 200 on their unknown character. They're popular in animation, but they're unknown characters. Other than that, I hope everything succeeds for him. Whoever the new DC head, or give me for DC Studios. Oh my God, we got cornbots in the shop. Yeah, I hope he's do success everything. I hope he do better in the future. Company.
Yeah. Caden, how you feeling about this Zazoff area? How you feeling about it?
I mean, I said it before, and I said it probably just as well as that. I mean, I'm feeling interested, optimistic in some places, concerned in some others. Just looking forward in the sense of interested in what the next move is for Zaslav and what's next room for DeLuca and Emmerich's too. So that's like where I'm at right now. So, yeah.
Okay. William, how you feeling about the David Zaslav era thus far? Are you optimistic for the future? Are you muted?
You're muted. Oh man.
Yes, I am. I do agree that there is going to be a lot of cost cutting. I do think there are going to be some smaller compartmentalizations. I don't believe it's going to be with the superhero IPs. I do think that a lot of the stuff is going to be sacrificed before those things to happen, because once again, I believe that the expectation is there. You inherited an expectation, and I think that the money is in meeting that expectation. So I think he's going to run a much tighter ship. I think that a lot of these dumb projects that have been announced the last 2 years that I've had to agonize through, knowing that they were either going to get canceled or scrapped to begin with, or end up getting canceled once they started. Like we're looking at Gotham Knights. We know that's getting canceled, but why are we going through it? I think you're going to see a lot less of that. Yeah, and I think that there's going to be a lot more focus on it's not, even if it's not a giant expansive universe. If I get Superman back up on the screen, if I'm a Warner Brothers Discovery stockholder and I've had Superman sitting in the freezer for 5 years, I'm pretty pissed right now. And that's because that's money that's been left on the table. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I have more faith in what's going to happen going forward than I did the last 9 years. But I also want to give him space because he's going to mess up. There's going to be some mess. Like I said, he's jumping into a moving car. So there's going to be some things that are going to have to go back to the drawing board. But what I urge people to do, whether they be comic book geeks or just straight up movie fans, is understand the situation that this guy came into. The company was devalued from $74 billion to $43 billion. A lot went wrong that this one guy now has to put people in place to set right. So give him time. If don't be, if he makes a decision that goes one way tomorrow, don't, create a YouTube page saying, cancel Zaslav or, restore the Keelar verse. I saw anything stupid like that. I think right now you have the right guy. I think you'll get the right people. Give him time, give him space. I think we'll get what we want. Is not exactly what we want, but it'll be closer than we would have gotten under the previous regime. We're in a good spot.
Well, let me ask you guys this real quick. Do you think, given how Zaslav is prone to canceling projects that aren't profitable, or maybe annoyances, do you think that it's possible that the restore movement will end up rubbing him the wrong way?
Yes and no. If there's money to be made, because once again, we were talking about things getting licensed out. To me, he seems like a guy who can sift past the white noise. If somebody I'm just going to throw out a hypothetical. If there's enough noise out there and there's somebody willing to finance it, to me, that's all it's going to matter. Say Amazon or somebody says, you know what, we'll throw down so-and-so for this, and you sell it to him, and you guys get the residuals.
Let's try it.
Something like that. It depends on how strong, how viable financially it is. If it's just a bunch of noise and no viability, then yeah, it can become annoying. But I think there's money there. I think there's money somewhere there that he doesn't have to spend. He won't have to drop one dime to make a profit off of this, because as soon as it's done making its rounds, you slap it on TNT, TNN, oh my gosh, TBS and TNT, and you collect ad revenue and not have to spend any of your money. That's all profit. So if it's just the white noise, yeah, it's going to be annoying. It's annoying to me, and I want it to happen. But if there's financial viability there, which I think there is, I think you'll see that.
I think maybe. I mean, but then again, can you honestly say that the Snyder Cut was profitable?
If it had been handled right, it could have been very profitable. Once again, would they see? This is so stupid. It is so frustrating. When they had this thing, they had the opportunity to set up several legacy deals to make so much back-end profit off of this, and they did everything that they could not to. It's like me, Jarbo, giving you coming to Vegas, and I'm going to give you, not only am I going to give you money to gamble with, I'm going to partner you with a poker player, a poker guy who's the greatest poker in the world. He's going to give you advice. You got the money. There's no way you can lose. And you say, you know what, I don't want that advice, and take your money. I'm going to use the $20 in my pocket. That's what they did. There was so much money to be made, whether you like the Snyderverse or not, that if other people had been in charge, it could have been very profitable. Just off the ad revenue alone could have been profitable. And the only way the Snyderverse wasn't profitable is if you're stupid. That's what it comes down to. The only way something like that doesn't make money is if you have morons running it. So I think this new regime is about money. Good people see the money, follow the money. Stupid people don't, and they end up, getting moved on.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think what I really wonder is, because again, the idea behind the Snyder Cut was to bolster HBO Max subscriptions. And what I would love to know is what it did VOD wise. Yeah, overseas and stuff. That would be great to see.
Sadly, they don't want to release those numbers.
That's part of the stupidity. Not only did they do that, but they never, and I'm pretty sure that these knuckleheads trying to bury it, they didn't look at the associated data too, because it's not just me watching the Snyder Cut. What else did I watch? What other things? Like me personally, I watched something that is worth nothing to me, DC Animation. I watched it as soon as I was done. They recommended it to me. I watched it. They recommended a lot of stuff to me, and that's how you generate. So when you're looking at that analytical data, you're not just looking at what the Snyder Cut does on its own. You're looking at the retention value, because growth is one thing. growth is one thing, and I think that's where Netflix, a lot of these guys have gone a different way. Retention in the streaming is everything because you're going to max out on streaming. There's only so many people in the world that can buy this stuff. So once you get to that point, retention is everything. How many people did you retain that were part of that associated content? And I guarantee you, they were busy trying to throw dirt on it. And I don't care what it is. If it's Jarbo Goes to Disneyland, if there's a movie called Jarbo Goes to Disneyland and RJ's with him, and there's analytical data that supports making a sequel or continuing it, and all you can do is 4 days after it was released is have a hit article come out, that's stupid. All right? So they didn't look at the data. They could have released that data because we know that the data was Sama TV is not good enough. There's data that they could have released because you know why? When Peacemaker came out, and be honest with you, I love Peacemaker. I thought it was fun, but I don't trust the data that they put out. I don't trust the success numbers from them, and I damn sure don't trust Samba because it's so limited. But when you have a streaming company, you have the ability to orchestrate and manipulate what is a success or not. You can bury something or you can prop it up. They chose to bury
And that's the
something.
thing with Netflix. I have a lot of criticisms of Netflix. One thing I give them credit for, they are open with their numbers and they have trending charts for a reason. They let you know their data and how they measure success. They are very
well.
transparent with that.
They only do it now by minutes watched.
Which that's how
That's
they all.
better than what we
That's
had
better
with
than nothing, at least. I mean, it's something,
Yeah.
and they're very transparent.
How
about
much
that.
of the Army of the Dead did?
Did
probably
well,
some-
as far as
did
I'm
well,
aware. I
yeah,
think it did
yeah.
well.
Yeah, it impressed their stockholders and the people that were.
Yeah.
And
running.
yeah, I'm glad you saw No Way Home again, Phantom Menace. I'm glad you you thought it got better. That's cool.
I saw it with a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
damn.
But yeah, I like I said, there's so much money that could have been would have been made off of that. Whether you liked it or not, or agreed with it or not, it was there, and it had a following enough to the point where you had customers. This entire Snyder thing was about somebody trying to give you money, and them not wanting to take it. Yeah, so that.
I see, but again, it's like the cost though. I keep going back to the cost. It's not that people are willing to give them money. Where were they back in 2017? Right. Obviously, this movie, the movement itself hadn't grown to the level that it had gone to, but they didn't show up for that. They didn't show up, for BVS. I mean, BVS they had its problems, and they had to kind of,
They cut 30 minutes. You can't blame them.
Well, no, I don't, and I don't
show
blame.
up. It's just that it didn't have the repeat viewing that.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean? And so it's like, again, the idea here is you're looking at like the return on investment, right?
Okay,
And so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I'm just saying it's like I don't know if if it's as profitable, because again, these budgets are going to keep going up and going up and going up, right? So that's kind of the whole point. That's what I'm saying, like when I go back to the whole like start from scratch thing, because at this point the budgets are just going to be too high.
They don't have the
And
credibility to do that, though. Any other company, but this company with its track record doesn't have. That's the biggest problem with Warner Brothers, DC, and anything with the associated right now. They don't have the credibility because of the way BVS was handled, because of the way Man of Steel was handled, and Justice League. They set stupid ass expectations, and nobody who spends money on anything that I've ever talked to that didn't laugh when they said, "Oh, well, it did make $1 billion, it was a failure." There are fanboys that had those expectations, but fanboys don't finance shit. All right. That was a dumbass expectation. All right. All that was dumb. And they had to understand that this is one thing. If you don't understand your IP, you set stupid ass expectations. They did not understand their IP. The entire company from 2013 on has been so mismanaged that I can't find head from tail or what could have worked or what couldn't work under them because they did so much stupid stuff. Now I'm trying to be a grown-up and look at this through the lens of somebody who has a much better track record and looks to be surrounding himself with much better or more better people, then I would rather give it a shot under them. I can't go back in time and unmismanage what Warner Brothers was doing at that time and unmake the stupid-ass decisions and unmake the dumb-ass expectations. I can't do that. All I can do is say, hey, would it be profitable now? And what they should do now is, once again, you got to look at the analytics beyond that. Look at not just the streaming numbers from BAVS. Also, look at the viability from when Zack Snyder's Justice League. How many more views did you get off an old-ass movie like Man of Steel that was 7 or 8 years old by that time, and some of these other movies that were associated? Look at those fights. There's so much data that modern companies that are ran right look at. And then when you talk about profitability, once again, if I'm Warner Brothers Discovery, I'm putting up almost none of the money because I know there's deals out there. I know there's toy deals out there. I know there's back-end deals. I know there's streaming deals. I can sell this to another streamer if I want to. I know I can do hard media. There's so much money to make, and then you fix your budget. You know what? And then you have other people finance it, and you cut them in on the ad revenue. Because as soon as Zack Snyder's Justice League or anything, Jarbo goes to Disneyland, as soon as I'm done running it through the cycle, you're going to see it on TBS. You're going to see it on all these things, and I'm going to run those ad rates. And everybody who financed that gets a cut of that ad rate. That's all profit. That's all profit. That's why you see every time I'm done watching wrestling, that's why you see all these commercials. That's why you see a superhero movie sandwiched right in between NBA and all this. They know what they're doing. That ad revenue is huge. It's huge. So, yeah, it can be profitable if it's being ran right. I can't defend what was done with under Tishihara and Emmerich and all that. It wasn't done right. I always say you can't look at something that was tried wrong. You have to look at it at a full attempt was given, and I'm waiting for that. We haven't gotten that yet. So to answer your question, sorry to ramble on. Yes, it could be very profitable. It could be astronomically profitable if the right people are making the decisions and making the deals.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, with any luck, we'll get there one day.
Yeah. I mean
that's the takeaway at the end of the day is that all this is going to take time.
Yeah.
All of it. I mean, that's.
I feel better, though. I feel better about waiting and watching and seeing in the last 3 months than I did prior to that.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
said,
my
I'm not gonna
biggest
take everything
concern,
I
though, is just the price tags and the cheapness.
That's an adjustment. That's an adjustment. I think there's
It's
going
an
to be
adjustment, but I just don't know.
No, I think they'll
that's
adjust
going to
beyond
breathe good creative energy.
I don't think that's going to be sustainable. I think that is what's being said now. But whatever you want to say about some of the people that he's bringing in to run this company and him, he'll make an adjustment the other way if he needs to. If cutting things to the bone isn't getting him where he wants to, it's not like the previous knuckleheads who would nail their feet to the ground on a wrong decision rather than make an adjustment. I think Zazoff, if he sees that, you know what, this isn't working for us. I need to put this here. I need to put more into this there. I have more faith in that guy is going to make an adjustment than I did under the previous cavemen who just were so dead set on never, changing off of something he said or did that they sunk their own ship. So what's being said now? All right, I'll take it with a grain of salt. But a year from now, we may be having a different conversation. And as long as you have a guy who evolves with new information and new circumstances, we're going to be fine, man. I don't think there's anything to worry about.
I hope so.
So, y'all heard the news that Amber's getting completely cut out in Aquaman 2?
That is the latest report, yeah, that Amber, like in the latest test screening of the test version of the movie, that all of her scenes have been cut, yes. Which, that's...
Thank you, RJ and Anthony. I made it my whole day without hearing one of those two names. Damn it.
Well, it is totally news about DC and Warner Brothers.
It is. I mean,
listen, my goodness. And the memes.
Listen, if the Flash is going,
I will say this though, no joke. If Amber Heard is completely cut out of that movie, the box office takes will go up. The box office for Aquaman 2 will go up exponentially.
I cannot.
It made most of its money in China, so I'm not even worried.
China?
It's they're gonna make it's gonna go to China. They got it there once, they'll get it there again.
What about Black Adam? Will be
by the way, Black Adam trailer is now coming in 4 days.
Nobody asked.
And Dwayne Johnson will be at the very important trailer. Actually, the Black Adam trailer may be one of the most important trailers of the year.
What about the piss color?
Well, the way they're actually, real quick, the way they're hyping up this Black Adam trailer, they're really hyping it up. Like they're doing countdowns on social media. They're really hyping up.
Oh yeah, because they have to.
We might actually have some fun going forward. Holy cow!
I mean, so it needs to be good.
Let's not go that far. Let's not get that ahead of ourselves here.
Fun. I'm not saying I'm looking for Scorsese. I'm not looking for Coppola. I'm just looking to have some fun. Listen, at some point, the stress that we've attached this stuff to has to go away. I go to work for stress. I pay bills for stress. I go to see comic book movies to have fun. And that's where we got to get back to some fun.
Oh no, I agree. And on that note, I'm gonna go because I want to go watch The Boys. But
You haven't watched it?
Watch that. Damn it.
Nah.
Yeah,
I just-
I'm actually about to end the stream right now, actually. So yeah.
Oh my god. You
Hey,
gotta
where's
see
Max?
this-
He's out of
He's
town, so
out of
I took
town.
over as host.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you
those-
couldn't get him up. I thought he wouldn't wake up. I'm like, make sure
Those
he's
references.
No, I just
those-
decided to stream. I made everyone pretend it was him streaming, but I didn't reveal I was hosting it until the show started. So I tricked
The
I
only
have a
thing I
Doctor
don't like-
Doom match for you if you ever want to really perpetrate.
I could try.
Oh
to do
my
that.
god.
But all right, yeah, that's
Wow.
it for the show tonight.
Next
everybody.
next
Thank
time
you
you
all
go
for
to
watching.
Vegas, I guess it's a date.
Hey.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to go on next time he comes here.
A lot of things. Whoa.
Whoa. Pause,
We're
yo,
going to finish
pause.
corrupting you. We only had a few days, but
Yeah, you didn't ride that dick.
I thought you did ride the penis.
Whoa.
No, I didn't end up going there. No, I didn't get a chance
The
to.
mechanical penis. RJ, press 1 on the chat if you want RJ to go ride the mechanical penis.
Matt, will you ride it?
There's other things he can ride here in Vegas, but I don't want to get Max demonetized. So.
Well, like female?
No, technically, it's not in Vegas. You have to go out of city limits for that. I mean, but that's, again. Yeah.
No comment.
What?
So, there's
One.
There's only one. That's one
I love that the 23-year-old's like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
No, I'm also tired. That also
Is there a pony
RJ, just
ride
say
outside
yes.
of Vegas?
Next time you're in Vegas, just say yes.
Yes.
And when somebody hands
man,
you a
it
drink,
doesn't count if you spam 1 4 times.
No, it does count.
It counts. Yeah, it counts.
All right,
Also cancel.
All right. Well, on that lovely note, thank y'all for watching. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe
Thanks,
to
man.
Movie Madness Entertainment. And Max will be back tomorrow, I believe, for MME International.
I
think.
will actually be taking over MMA International with.
Oh, okay.
Omri.
So you're taking over for that show tomorrow. Okay.
Oh, well,
So
is there
Caden
a
will be
dislike button
hosting.
there?
So Caden will be hosting MME International tomorrow with the Ramblin' Man and others. So have fun watching MME International tomorrow, and that should do it. All right, bye everybody.